Well, good morning, Smite fans. My name is Fuzzy Wuzzy. Joined with me is Alpha. And Alpha, we have an exciting matchup coming up. The first seed in the NA SCC and the third seed in the NA SCC. That's going to be the Sturdy Artisans versus the Herculean Hoofs. And AJ, we were talking about it, and this could be a must-win game for Sturdy Artisans.
Well, they are currently sitting at 8-0, and after yesterday's or the day before's shock loss with the Tiburones to the Tijuanas to
Mhm.
Winter Dogs, that puts them at 7-2. So all they need to do, Steady Artisans, is either win this week or win next week, and they've secured first seed outright. Next week is a matchup that they do have against the Tiburones to the Tijuanas, so they would much prefer to have it done this week than next week.
Well, anybody would want to get it done now, but the Herculean Hooves have solidified themselves with going into at least third or fourth seed, hoping if they actually pull out this win, they're going to go ahead and not have to worry about fighting in the the SOC representative that comes out in that fourth seed. So Herculean Hooves, they want to win as well. And with it comes to a lot of name recognition out of both of these rosters, AJ. And with the Herculean Hooves and the Sturdy Artisans, this could be a battle of the giants.
Yeah, you have a look at the roster, especially of the Herculean Who's, as you have a quick look at what's gone down already in the SCC this week. You have, Snoopy and Gino as the duo lane, Masked in the jungle, Meerkat solo, and you can't forget about Bask in mid. And this team is now sitting at 4-4. Something doesn't quite add up. It just shows how competitive it is down in the NASCC. Don't forget, if Herculean Hooves lose this match, lose their next match, and have Winter Dogs win their remaining matchup, if it goes right, Herculean Hooves could slip down to fourth place. So it's still all to play for them as well.
Uh, There is a lot to play for in the NASCC. Lots of close standings that are going to come out. But AJ, we talked about the Herculean Hooves, the Sturdy Artisans. Just impressive showing after impressive showing, 8-0. Haven't dropped a single set this split. And with that, there comes a lot of responsibility coming out. We've seen some giants get taken down from a lower seeded team. So what do they need to do in order to keep that 8-0 and push it to a 9-0 and secure that first seed?
Keep doing what they've been doing so far this entire split, which is innovation. I mean, you have a look at what they've been bringing out. Sino in the jungle has been the pioneer player over here in the NASCC, playing Isis in the jungle, or sorry,
Hmm.
ESET in the jungle these days. Been playing Shock in the jungle with attack speed and crit. It's just been absolutely maddening to deal with. And then you just ignore the fact that you have Stuart, one of the best ADCs in the SCC right now, definitely the best relic user in the SCC over in the ADC position, just carrying games if he needs to.
Yeah, you could see just how crazy the Sino E-set play is, and Stewart just popping Aegis in this current clip. And it just seems like Sturdy Artisans are constantly just aware of every situation that they're getting themselves into. They know the matchups, they know the way to win the game, and then they just group so effectively. I don't think I've ever seen them really just truly lose a team fight outright because of skill. They're usually always pushing their advantage from the get-go. And it seems like that's the way that their play style has been this entire season. And why not? Just keep it going. And if they're able to do that, they could secure this first seed. And with that first seed comes a lot of responsibility and a lot of just potential to see if they can even win the NASCC.
Yeah, but with the first seed does come the first seed curse, where a lot of the times in tournaments we have seen the first seed falter, whether it be at the very final stumbling blocks, or as we have even seen the first seed get knocked out first round before, so they don't have to worry about that. But I don't think the squad is worried about anything that comes their way. So they took a little bit of adversity from the Winter Dogs when they come up with this absolutely insane protection shred comp with Ares, Athena, and Guan Yu. They stood up resilient to it, fought into it, and even managed to take it down in impressive fashion. Remains to be seen what they do up against the Herculean Hooves, though.
Yeah, the Herculean Hooves, they're not necessarily a bad team. You mentioned that just the names alone are coming out of from Meerkat, Baskin. You see all these names that everybody recognizes, but 4-4, you said, just doesn't seem quite right for the Herculean Hooves. With this name potential that's coming out of there, maybe these guys can play a little bit of spoiler for the Sturdy Artisans, but we've seen time and time again that this Herculean Hooves can be the Baskin show, as we're going to highlight right here with this great I'm a Monster. Just the amount of potential out of Baskin in this mid lane can just absolutely destroy teams.
And don't forget Snoopy over there in the ADC position. We have a bit of a highlight for him there on the Chiron. One of the first people that we have seen bring out the Chiron. Masked, a very tenured jungler as well. Although a lot of teams will see this jungle and solo lane side of the map as one to sort of exploit, and then it could also see Baskin as being the make or break portion of this team. If he does well, the rest of the team sort of starts to pop off. If they can shut down Baskin, then the rest of the team sort of doesn't have that focal point around them, and if you have that massive beacon in that mid lane and it gets shut down, it can be difficult to find a second plan or a third plan even.
Yeah, Baskin is definitely going to be the target for the sturdy Artisans, but my eye is going to be focused on Mass in the jungle. We do know that sometimes the jungle can be determining on when they're able to get into into the sides of the thing. But as we jumped into picks and bans, we're going to see what the game plan is for both of these teams. And AJ, again, eyes on Masked. That's going to be my name of the game, because if the jungle gets controlled by either Sino or Masked, that's, I think, going to determine who's going to win this game.
Yeah, I'm looking just to see what sort of jungle picks are taken up here. Do the Sturdy Artisans go for a more traditional jungler, or do they continue that innovation train and go something that we've not even seen before? I mean, you have a look at all these bans down at the bottom. You could make a solid case that Sino would look to try and pick it in the jungle at some point. I'm pretty sure he has played pretty much everything there in the jungle. Maybe not the Sobek, although I wouldn't put it past him.
Oh, he probably would have done it, but as the bans come out, you do see a little bit of target on the Herculean Hoofs sides towards that jungler, as Camazotz and Nemesis and Giannis are banned, but Set is actually picked up for that first pick for Herculean Hooves. And on the flip side, we've got the Artisans.
Tiamat?
They've made out the Gilgamesh. The Tiamat is available. Scylla, Athena is still available as well. That would be two really first picks for the Sturdy Artisans that they kind of just let that through, but the Artisans elect to go with Sobek. You just mentioned that Sobek in the jungle. Is he going around, AJ? Is he going to try to do that for us?
No, he's not. I will say that this is going to be going to the support. And again, no Tiamat pickup here from either team. So are we starting to see teams devalue Tiamat just a slight bit? Or is this just almost a game of chicken where both teams have a strategy lined up to deal with this Tiamat and just waiting for the other team to pull the trigger?
In my opinion, I think they just have a strategy that they're going in with these teams. Set obviously was locked in, and then Tsukiyomi probably going to be playing in the solo lane. So that will give a little bit of pressure as well, especially some global. But there is the global pressure that they really need. Athena does get locked in for the Herculean Hooves. I wouldn't be surprised if Artisan do pick up the Tiamat here, just to go ahead and round that up. But I am surprised, AJ, as you mentioned, that if Athena and Tiamat were both available, why not just go for it? And they don't even pick the Tiamat. They like to go with the Merlin. Artisans going with a little bit of an interesting plan against the Herculean Hooves.
It's loads of prot shred and just a bit more safety against the Set, I would say, with the Merlin, just able to turn around and try and burn him, whilst the Tiamat has to rely on holding onto some of their kit to be able to deal with the Set. So I think the Merlin pick does make a little bit more sense. Maybe not so much against the Tsukiyomi Athena, but maybe that's where the Sobek and the inevitable jungle and solo lane pick will come in to try and help peel off that engage.
Well, no Tiamat ban yet. That's a Morrigan and a Raijin for the Artisans, and Serket, and we're waiting for that final ban as it does come out to be Mercury. So lots of focus, it seems, in the jungle for the Herculean Hooves, which is a smart call. And the Artisans are electing just to try to see if they can whittle Baskin's God pull out a little bit more. Maybe they know something that we don't, AJ. Maybe Baskin isn't quite as comfortable on that Tiamat as we do await the next pick. It's still interesting to me that it's not banned, though. We do know that it's not as valued, it seems, right here. But Ratatoskr does get locked in. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a snap pickup here.
I mean, if you get all the way down to second banning phase, get to your 4th, 5th picks, and you still able to have Athena Tiamat, that is a huge win in your books for pretty much every single team out there. They could have liked to go for something different, though. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Baskin go to something more comfortable for him. Like a Thoth is something that he likes to play quite a fair bit. Sol could potentially be ADC here, could potentially be mid, depends on what we do see as the final pick here. Definitely would combine well with Athena for that Stellar Burst and Supernova combo with that taunt.
Cupid is going to be the one that's hovered right now, whereas we're waiting that pick. And if that's the case, that will be Baskin playing Sol. And they do, I guess, have a game plan going into this, as Cupid does get locked in for that final pick of the Herculean Hooves. And it's got to be a game plan. The team match just is completely out of their mind. They're saying this is the way that we're going to win this, and we're going to win this way. As Robin is going to get locked in, so that's going to be Ratatoskr in the solo lane, I would imagine, AJ. So looking at these comps, to me, I see Herculean Hooves comp, and I see a Set, a Tsukiyomi, and Athena, the top 3 picks in my mind. That just wins over there on that side of the screen for me. But Artisans do have a pretty stable comp as well.
Yeah, Herculean Hoofs have a lot of objective burn, have a lot of control around the dual lane, but if you take the dual lane away, if you take Athena and Cupid away, their control is just based in pure damage. So it'll be difficult for Herculean Hoofs to maneuver around this right-hand side of the map, so look for Sturdy Artisans to play around the solo side of the map for the first 10 minutes of the game.
Well, and that is a little bit of the MO as well. You definitely are going to see the Sturdy Artisans kind of rotate over to that, but Basket playing Cupid in the mid lane? We're seeing this correctly? This is Cupid mid, ladies and gentlemen. We haven't seen that since what, season 5?
I don't think so, and I like the switch up here. I did point out that the outside of their dual lane, they wouldn't have a lot of control. Their CC would have been very lacking. But putting the Cupid in the mid lane, they sort of alleviate that issue with just a slight bit. Putting the Soul able to farm up on Snoopy over on that left-hand side up against Stewart definitely has a better matchup, the Soul into the Heimdall, than the Cupid does. So it's a good play here, but something else to point out. Sino is not going to be playing this game for the Sturdy Artisans. Scream subbing in for the jungle here. And when you can call upon a world champion jungler as your sub, you know you're still in a good, you know you have good depth in your squad.
That is an absolute fact, but we won't get to see some craziness come out for the Sturdy Artisans like we've seen in the jungle, but Scream can solidify that. But it's still, eyes are still on this Mask and Scream duo. Just definitely see who is going to be able to give that pressure, but that world champion right there does give me a little bit of a hesitation, as well as Mask can't quite get into that XP buff, but AJ, it just seems a little bit interesting that, oh, well, Ionic's actually going to get caught out. It seems the dash going to be able to get him out of there, but it looks really close. This duo lane for Snoopy and not Gino on this Athena Soul could be running this game here pretty soon.
Gino not electing to use the Sunder. That would definitely have got a kill had it been taunted to Sunder into some of the bursts coming out from Snoopy, but Ionic has managed to find his way back to base, bought up his tank boots as well as a ward. So he is going to be a lot more difficult to deal with now that he's got 18% movement speed rather than 12, as well as some extra protections and health.
Yeah, Relentless one on this Ratatasker. In the Meerkat Ratatasker lane, we haven't seen that a whole lot in the solo lane. I kind of wanted you to diagnose that and break it down a little bit, because it just seems like, why would you have two assassins? Obviously, we've seen Tsukiyomi really flourish in that solo lane position, but why Ratatasker against him?
Well, Ratatasker, I think his best role is in that solo lane position. He builds into a thick bark acorn, which makes him incredibly tanky, incredibly resilient, can tread loads of procs with the double flurry, and then he almost has super warrior scaling because of the fact that that acorn will give you an extra bit of your protections. Conversely, why you have assassins in the solo lane versus something like a warrior or a guardian, it's because the game these days has shifted more towards you having to play more damage in the solo lane than being a rather big tank, as Meerkat's fighting himself to his detriment here. Relentless One picks up first blood there for the Sturdy Artisans. So going for these assassins, you have that sort of assassin-based power and assassin-based scaling to go into a more tanky defensive build while still retaining your damage.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Meerkat was the one that spilled, but you know, Relentless One coming up with a prize, not only first blood, but getting away that blue buff, so he'll be able to get a little bit more of an experience lead and a gold lead because of that. Gino on this Athena, though. We know how Athena can be just super potent and be able to just go across the map whenever she hits level 5. That's going to be, I think, the game plan for the Herculean Hoofs, just collapse with whenever this Athena has their ultimate available. But do you think they just surround themselves with Baskin, or are they going to try to get Meerkat and Athena to kind of work that, or even give Mask some protections while he's diving into the backline?
It's got to be a combination of Masked goes in with Gino there to help support and keep people around that Kingslayer ultimate, or you would see Meerkat getting aggressive onto Relentless One, trying to force the ultimate, trying to force Scream away. I don't imagine we're going to be seeing a lot of action over here on the duo side with Gino. He's going to be rotating, hanging around the mid lane, and looking to try. He needs to help Meerkat here because level 4 versus level 5, this is a solo kill.
That's another kill for Relentless One, and he's going to solo, but he trades because of one extra tower shot. But just in case, Mask was around to see if he can maybe clean that up. But hey, a trade, not necessarily the best thing in the world that you would want, but it is coming out a little bit positive for Meerkat in that not Gino taking a lot of poke from Pagon and Ionic. Pagon going to get taunted in. Gino still looking a little bit weak. He's going to get plucked in. Pagon gets a free kill in the mid lane. No help from Baskin as not Gino falls to Pagon.
Snoopy forced to use his Supernova ultimate earlier. Stewart gets aggressive. Ult for ult trade. Beads were used as well by Snoopy, so Stewart comes out on top of that engagement, backs up, buys his Devourer's Gauntlets, and looks to be able to just get back to lane very easily and safely and start building up those lifesteal stacks.
Yeah, lifesteal is definitely going to be the play for the Heimdall, just to make sure that he's got a little bit more power with it as well. Once those Devourer's Gauntlets are stacked, you know how devastating that can be, but the Soul pick, we've seen Soul kind of make a resurgence here, AJ, but I'm not sure how it pairs well against Himdallr. We need to kind of just break that down a little bit too, because Snoopy can play this really well, and and Soul has been known to be a tower pusher. So in that kind of combination, I wouldn't say who necessarily wins it, because it's not necessarily who's going to get to the team fight first, but who is going to have the more pressure in that lane?
Overall, Stewart should have the pressure, but he shouldn't have kill potential onto Snoopy. Unless he catches him without beads and Stellar Ultimate up, of course. If you don't have any form of CC immunity against a Heimdall, chances are you're gonna get killed. But for the most part, Snoopy will be able to resist some of the poke because of the sustain that he's got. And then we'll be able to dish out some damage back thanks to the increased basic attack speed or from the passive. The AoE damage coming out from Stellar Burst will help that as well. Disapparate to help avoid some of those basic attacks and some of that damage. It is a good matchup for the Soul to go into. It's not necessarily her best, but it's one that she's well equipped to deal with.
Well, Scream is over on this right-hand side of the map, and I don't think he recognizes Meerkat. That the jungler is around, but recognizing it now, he's going to go ahead and come back to the lane. But that would have been pretty interesting if Relentless One was able to bait. But thinking of getting baited, Stewart almost falling to Snoopy. You said that he had the pressure, and here comes Pagon. The beads pops. Fields of Love as well. Pagon trying to see if he can get the flicker away. He will, but Scream on the right-hand side is able to pick up Meerkat. Mask is all alone between a rock and a hard place. The Sobek is here. Ionic gets the pluck, but Mask used the beads to keep himself alive.
So annoying Ionic is on this Sobek. He picks this pick up pretty much every single time it's available, almost like a North American Tricks tank. And it's no surprise to see that the two teams that value Sobek so incredibly highly and pick him up every single game is available find themselves at the top of the standings in both regions. What if there's some form of correlation to that? Who knows? But every single time that those teams lock in Sobek, the Sobek is always around the action, always dictating the sort of early stages of the game and getting beads after beads, taking just kill after kill as well. It's a good start for Sturdy Artisans here to find themselves up in kills, but Herculean Hoofs, to their credit, have been finding the farm much better.
Yeah, I really like how slow Herculean Hoofs are playing this. They're not panicking, right? They're keeping everything in check. They're making sure that the game is coming to them, because once they have those ultimates available, once they have the damage output to be able to do something with, they're going to see if they can catch out Stewart. Pings are out, saying, hey, I'm Snoopy, I'm here. As Dash comes in, not Gino, not going to be able to connect the top, but does get the beads out of Stewart and is able to get that purple buff as the Disapparate comes through. So good win for the Herculean Hoofs there, just because of the amount of pressure they just put onto this left-hand side.
And not able to fully take advantage of all that pressure, though. Just a purple buff invade. They're going to be able to look to try and take that again on the next spawn. And that's where you're going to start seeing some form of disparity happen in this solo lane. Right now, there's a little... this dual lane, sorry. There is a little bit right now. Snoopy does have a one-level lead, but they need to push it a bit more.
Well, Meerkat can't even get the ultimate off as he falls to Mass, but not Gino able to pick up Pagon in the mid lane. Again, that was going to be a taunt into Fields of Love. Baskin helping that out a little bit, getting an assist. So now we're going to start talking about Baskin here. He's already got a kill, I would say an assist over his counterpart in Pagon, but once Baskin starts rotating in this Fields of Love, I'm just looking at the amount of dashes and the amount of how much potential this cripple field can really do in a team fight.
Yeah, but if there's one god that doesn't care about giant AoE CCs that are very easy to predict and time immunities to, it's Raven. Raven's just going to say, oh, I'm about to get mezzed or stunned, overhead kick now, all your damage is gone, and I'm going to come kill you.
Yeah, that is the gameplay for Scream, and I'm 100% the reason why he locks that in at the last pick, as this Gorp is going to spawn for them. So they're going to get a little enhanced buff for the side of Sturdy Artisans. The Gold Fury has spawned, and Fire Giant and Pyromancer are going to spawn in about 50 seconds. AJ, we usually see these trades, right, where the Gold Fury is up and the Pyro is up, and depending on where the fight takes place, one team will take a loss over there in like the left lane and grab a Gold Fury, and then the other team that just lost that team fight will take the Pyromancer. What is the significance of taking those at the exact same time?
It just means that you don't allow the opponent to get both objectives in a double whammy. When they take the Gold Fury back to base, spend that extra gold, spend their lead, and start to establish it on the other side of the map, and then take another objective to extend it further. You just denied them the opportunity, and Snoopy's not enough opportunity to beat now up into the realms and should die on landing.
Well, he couldn't lie on landing because he got the Disapparate off. The Stellar Burst comes in, but Scream is still on a killing spree. 3 kills for the former world champion as he's able to pick up Snoopy in that soul. It was really cool to see how they had a trap laid out, right? We saw Stuart on that left-hand side trying to see if he can get to his own purple buff. Then we saw Scream in the back, and then we saw Ionic just kind of seeing if maybe the mid laner makes a rotation. And then they said, no one's coming, collapse, and they did collapse on the Snoopy.
I also like Snoopy's decision not to use the beads there. He was dead to rights. Even if he beats, even if he beats the Heimdall, he might buy himself a second or two to get out. Could even lead to the death of Gino alongside of it. So just elects to eat what damage he had before he got into his incorporeal form during this time through the realms, and then landed into what was essentially death without using the beads, meaning he's going to be safe again on the next time they try and do this play.
Well, Mast has had the passive from not Gina, the ultimate coming down, Defender of Olympus, but who else comes down as Relentless One? As Mast is able to pick up Scream, Relentless One returns and picks up Mast, and now the target seems to be Relentless One. As the Fields of Love come out, he cannot dash away, Baskin is here and picks up Relentless One.
Huge rotation coming out from Gino. Good amount of CC coming out from the rest of the team. Scream just playing a little bit too aggressive, looking for a little bit too much without having beads available. See that coming up available just now. His ultimate was used in that left-hand side engagement. Probably only just came up as he died. So without any form of CC immunity to avoid the taunt, easy pickings. I thought Relentless One's engage was huge on his rotation when he came through the Cosmos, but just without the follow-up damage of Pagon because he wasn't there, it almost felt like it was a little bit lacking there for Sturdy Artisans.
Yeah, the Pagon's damage, he's level 12 right now with the Charon's coin, but he elected to go with the cooldown boots, AJ. Not something that we would usually see, but he did go with that, and we gotta kind of figure this out, right? Why cooldown boots in this case over the purple boots that give you a little bit more lifesteal?
He wants to just be able to transform as much as possible. As Merlin, your damage comes out in 2 separate categories. It's how much power you've got, and do you have your ultimate up and available. If both of those boxes are ticked, you have your maximum potential damage. If one of those boxes is ticked, you are lacking a severe amount of your ability to burst and influence team fights. So by having this cooldown reduction built early, thanks to the Sense of Time and cooldown boots, he's going to be a lot better placed to influence fights while also staying in the game by clearing the wave.
12 minutes in, gold lead seems to be about the same. Blink comes out from Scream, and so does the ultimate. He is trying to get onto Baskin as Mast comes in, but so does Relentless One. A Fields of Love get dropped. He stays alive for as long as he can, but the meditation, the one tower shot will not be able to make him fall. Stewart picks up Snoopy over on the left-hand side, but as the fight still continues, Gino is trying to save his life. Sunder comes out, but who else makes the rotation? That's Meerkat. Only being able to hit Scream. Will he be able to clean it up? He will not because of a great pluck. Not Gino coming back in with the Defender of Olympus. Attack comes out on Relentless One. Relentless One looking so weak. Will he be able to escape? He will, as Pagon is able to pick up Meerkat.
A 4-for-1 trade. I think Snoopy even got soloed on that left-hand side and during all that commotion. Mid-tier 1 gonna fall down. Sturdy Artisans making their way over to this left-hand side. And you called it before this game even started. What do Sturdy Artisans do better than most other teams right now in the SCC? They team fight and group better than you. And that's exactly what happened there. Just full-on collapse. Everyone knew exactly what they were meant to be doing. Instead of Ionic diving the tower, looking for a pluck on Baskin, left it to Relentless One because he knew he would be able to get that kill and get out. And the rest of the team just focuses on the other targets. Beautiful play all around from Sturdy Artisans.
Yeah, Relentless One coming over from the right-hand side of the map. You saw Meerkat try his best, right? He came over, but when you're 1-5-2, it doesn't scream the best thing that you can do is just come over and see if you can do some damage. So Meerkat not being able to be as impactful as he would like to be on the Tsukuyomi, but Relentless One definitely being impactful on this Ratatasker.
Right now, I'd say the junglers, one of them's been impactful in this game, and that's Scream, the other one, Mast. Been a bit more reactionary, been a bit more reserved. I wouldn't put it exactly down to his build. I'll just say that Herculean Hoofs have had to play this sort of reactionary style. The Relentless One pushed up aggressively into the enemy jungle, punished for it with a massive rotation. They did expend Fields of Love just to get that kill, though. That just shows how much they respect the tankiness and resilience of Relentless One's Ratatasker.
Well, Mask is jumping onto Pagon, and Snoopy has made a rotation that Evaporate will come out and not have to worry about that tower shot. Ionic is going to go ahead and pluck Mask. Late Beads comes out, but Ionic is taking a lot of poke from this Baskin Soul combo as Baskin picks up the unofficial double kill, and that picking up Relentless One and Ionic.
Okay, whatever Steady Artisans can do, Herculean Hoofs can do as well. Group up and just focus targets one by one. That's exactly what happened there. Herculean Hoofs looking like the first seed team in that little section of play from all the way from the fire giant all the way to the mid lane. And again, into the mid lane they go once more. Pagon forced to just dash away, but it's not going to save his life. Stream comes in, picks up one in return. Could pick up a second here as Gino rooted under the tower. This should be a kill here, and it is indeed, but it could be traded out here as well. 2 for 2. Meerkat picks up Scream.
And now Meerkat is in trouble because Relentless One made the rotation, and he is here. He used his ultimate to just stun him out, and Relentless One picks up Meerkat. I wouldn't say this is necessarily a free Pyromancer, but it kind of looks like a free Pyromancer because look who made the rotation over is Stewart from all the way from the left-hand side. So Snoopy, the Tower Crusher's Soul is going to be able to take this tower pretty easily, but in response they're going to get a Pyromancer in return. Kind of a big win for Sturdy Artisans. They're still 2k up.
Huge win for Steady Artisans. Did the Soul push down onto the tier 2 here a little bit? Gonna get a fair bit of damage onto this tier 2, but back off once Stewart is within range. And there we go. Second that Stewart is in some form of visibility to the wave and some form of proximity. Backs off. Doesn't want to take the fight. Doesn't want to risk any rotations coming out here from the rest of the Sturdy Artisans. Takes the win. Gets out scot-free. Slightly damages the tier 2 tower to make it a little bit easier on his next attempt.
We do have to break down that team fight that happened a little bit earlier. It seems like everybody from Sturdy Artisans and Herculean Hoofs just went one by one into their death. And then, of course, because they had one more extra person, Sturdy Artisans were able to take up that win. But getting wins in this mid lane seems to be the name game, right, for those Herculean Hoofs. Baskin is 3-1-3, but his counterpart is 3-2-3. How are they going to differentiate between getting Baskin to start rotating a little bit more and do some more damage versus Pagon, who's on a Merlin, who's able just to naturally do crazy amounts of damage when he's able to have that long range? And as I'm saying that, a big 4-man rotation onto this right-hand side. Scream gonna get pushed out, but actually it's gonna be Relentless One who dashes away but gets taunted back in. Relentless One is gonna have to spin away as the ultimate comes out from Scream. Blink comes out from Ionic. Ratatasker is up in the air. Fields of Loves comes down, and Ionic is in his ultimate as well. They're gonna try to see what happens, but there's a big split up as Pagon picks up Mask. Ionic is alone, but so is Baskin, but he gets stunned out, but Relentless One will pick him up with just little bits of health. A great taunt by Not Gino, but it'll become to no avail as he gets sent onto a trip to his own gray screen as Scream will pick him up.
That's a 3-for-0 trade there. Well, the trade is Snoopy gets a tier 2 tower. You can't leave Snoopy alone in lane anymore because he will just take that Phoenix next time. But what's better than a Phoenix? The Fire Giant. The Fire Giant's been stunned up here. Meerkat's trying his best to defend, but Meerkat and Ionic are not letting that happen. Stewart comes out as well. Scream actually does fall for it. And they actually leash the Fire Giant in total. This was a good stop there by Meerkat.
It was, and Snoopy was getting pings saying, hey, they're right around here, and they're pretty weak, and so recognizing that, Ionic has to go ahead and disengage. That was a great pickup by Meerkat. We can't, like, just let that go to the wayside. He was able to get a kill and get away with it, and he was able to pick up Scream in response. That's definitely some shutdown gold, and that kind of put him back up into contention to where, hey, even though he is one level down from his counterpart, he's still going to be impactful in these team fights.
And if you're Masked, you definitely want to be able to rush towards that level 20 as soon as possible. If you're picking up this Eye of the Jungle, your main priority is getting to that level 20 to upgrade it into Protector of the Jungle. No one goes Seer of the Jungle. Seer of the Jungle is just not a particularly useful upgrade, unfortunately. So just going into that Protector, getting 12% extra power and protections whilst you are in the jungle, means that those jungle fights are going to be a lot scarier, but Scream is the one on course to finish that first, so the edge in jungle fights will go to Sturdy Artisans the second that item's picked up.
Well, Not Gino dashes in and gets plucked immediately in response, and all that damage is being taken as Stewart will pick him up. As Meerkat's going to go into the back line, he's going to try to see if he can get something for it, but he's going to get locked down. Scream will pick him up. Field of Love to come out, but 2 ultimates in response, and now they're going to collapse on Baskin, as Baskin can only look as he falls to his death. Relentless One is on a killing spree, and the Sturdy Artisans take this Oni Fury.
What's the one thing you can't do into Sobek? Dash into him to give him a free pluck, because he will just take it every single time. Ionic ain't gonna miss those ones. Served up on a platter, thank you very much. Sturdy Artisans start the fight off brilliantly with a kill on Gino for free. Baskin expends his ultimate to try and get some form of zone going to stop the fight, but Scream was having none of it, Meerkat was having none of it. One person gets out with their life, the other person unfortunately goes to a respawn timer. Fire Giant could be talking the same, but getting knocked up there is Ionic, with the rotations coming in from Masked, Gino back up with his Defender of Olympus, and Snoopy. They're going to think better than taking off this objective.
Yeah, they just elect not to do it, and it's going to... I don't know about that, AJ. They could have looked for it, but because of how the health bars looked for Herculean Hoofs, it's a good call that, as you mentioned, just go ahead and disengage, but... The Oni waves are pushing up in the mid lane and in the left lane. Meerkat's going to take over left. Snoopy's going to kick over in the mid lane. The right ones have just fallen thanks to Not Gino's damage. So all that work for the Oni Fury just kind of all for none. 5K, 5,000 gold is the only difference between the two teams. And that's not a whole lot when you come to about, that's 11 kill difference and, 3 tier 1 towers in return.
Sturdy Artisans certainly haven't snowballed this game, but they haven't looked out of control of it either. Snoopy, out of the lots of his health bar, been able to get back because of separate. Before I say that, Relentless One finds him in the backline, just lazy back in. He's been caught sleeping.
He's been caught sleeping and he's been caught sundered, and now he's going to be caught dead. The Aegis comes out, but will it get him out? He will get out. He's going to get out with just a little bit of health, but now the rest of the squad of Sturdy Artisans are here. A 3-man taunt from Not Gino. Baskin will pick up one thanks to that Odysseus bow. Ionic has to go away. Baskin's trying to see if he can get another one. Blink comes out from Scream, and he will make Baskin regret that. As now Meerkat is still there just to see if he can throw out some more damage. Ionic, he's too low to come in, but he wants to. The pings are coming out saying they're right around here. Pyromancer is going to get started off by Sturdy Artisans, and it's going to be essentially free because no one really wants to fight, except for Relentless One, who blinks in and sees if he can just bait up a little bit longer, but I think the bait went on to him, as he's going to fall to Meerkat.
You can't go into Athena taunt like that. She will kill. These supports are ones that you really don't want to engage upon. Which begs the question, who do you engage upon? Do you engage upon the solo laners? Do you engage upon the mid laners? Well, the answer is you engage upon the mid laners. Baskin and Pagon have been hounded out as targets for the engagements, for the most part, for both teams here. Herculean Hoofs and Sturdy Artisans go into the 22nd minute mark. Far apart in kills, not so far apart in gold. About 5,000 gold difference separates them. At 22 minutes into the game, it's not an insurmountable lead to fight into.
The Sturdy Artisans do have 4 members at that level 20 mark, as well as if you look on the left side, Herculean Hoofs, 0 members are at the level 20 mark, but they're getting close. And once Soul and Baskin and Mast are able to get into that level 20, it could spell some pretty fun team fights, as Ionic is going to get taunted in. The pluck is available for him, but he's not going to elect to do so, as Pagon's going to throw down some ice, as Ionic's taking a lot of poke from that heart bomb. So they do have a little bit more pressure for the Herculean Hooves, as now they're going to start this Fire Giant up just to see if they can get a bait out, looks like. The Fire Giant is
they're going to be able to take
health.
it because
They actually might be able to take it, but Relentless One is up in the sky. Fields of Love comes in. Ionic comes in. Herculean Hooves do get it, but almost at what cost? Relentless One comes in. Baskin's going to be able to dash away. Not Gino's going to come crashing in on the Baskin. It looks like they're going to try to get away from this. Meerkat's going to throw out the Caltraps just to slow him down. Big Stellar Burst comes out from the Soul to see if maybe they could deter this, and they do. The Herculean Hooves have taken a Fire Giant, and now, Artisans are caught without a paddle up creek, and now they have to run away for their own lives because of the Fire Giant being able to give them some more health.
5k lead, not impossible to fight into, and Herculean Hoofs showing exactly how you do it. Just gather your forces, rush, and burn down an objective, hope for the coin flip to go your way, and it does that. Sometimes rivaling the objective is a good thing and can pay off for your team. Sometimes it costs you worlds. Otherwise, the Tier 2 tower going to be taken down here in the right-hand side. I don't see Sturdy Artisans looking to defend this one. They will be defending on the Phoenixes, might be defending on the Tier 2 in mid, but with the fact that Ionic and Scream are over on this left-hand side, pushing down the Tier 2 tower response, it will be a Phoenix defenses all round.
Yeah, We do have to talk about, though, that they get this Fire Giant, they're going to have no towers. All Phoenixes are wide open for the Herculean Hooves. And this gold lead that we mentioned, 5,000, is going to dwindle down even more so once this Tier 2 tower falls. And now the Phoenix defense will start, but Relentless One is over on the right-hand side. He's going to see if he can come in. He blinks in. He gets 2 stuns, but he gets taunted in response as he's going to try to get away. Meerkat gets sent into the sky. Relentless One's going to come crashing back down. See who can find. Stewart picks him up. The Fields of Love comes out from Bastion. No one's going to be able to get on him except for Scream as he comes crashing down for himself. That's a killing spree, and that's a good response. 3 for none, and now they can take their Tier 2 and a Phoenix for themselves.
No, they're going to go left and just take the Phoenix straight away. They want to try and potentially end this game. At this point, respawn time was looking like 35 seconds is the earliest one with Meerkat and Snoopy. Full 5 versus 2. Granted, the 2 to no Fire Giant, but what are they going to do? Taunted to Kingslayer, it's not enough damage to take down anybody at this stage of the game, so this is going to be a free Phoenix, could even be an end here for those 30 Artisans.
Well, they are actually looking for the end, and we have to talk about how Mask is building a little bit more tanky. He's going to see what happens. Defender Olympus comes down. Defender Olympus comes crashing in, and look at all the player damage. 1 falls, 2 falls. Gino being able to pick that up. And you want to talk about Titan defense. I was just about to say, hey, take a look at Mask's build. He's got some tank to him, and that tankiness factor came into play, and taking down the 2 people you want to get down, Stewart and Ionic.
Okay, so that's how they're going to defend the Titan. That's how they're going to do it. I was puzzling myself. Okay, Athena taunts into waiting for some abilities, waiting for some ultimates. No, that's not going to work. Athena taunts, some beads happens. No, what they do is just flip it on its head. Masked is the one that engages. Gino dropships into the middle of everybody. They can't get away because the Ankyle's been procced, silencing them. That is a huge Galaxy Brain play there, crafted by Masked and Gino to get themselves within a shot of this game. They saved the Titan 100% just with this Ankyle play.
They did save it, and now Masked is trying to take on Relentless One. We know how that usually goes, as Relentless One's going to come up into the air, and so is Scream as he comes crashing down. The Fields of Love get dropped onto Baskin. Baskin has to Aegis, and he's going to be able to get away with just a little bit of health. Relentless One, Mask, actually Meerkat is not going to be so lucky himself as he's going to fall. So, unfortunately, you lost Meerkat. A blink fluck onto Snoopy. I think you're going to lose Snoopy too, as Pagon gets a double kill. Great blink from Ionic is going to be able to pick that up, and now they could just run this back down yet again. Do they just play it a little bit safer? The left-hand side is open, but we saw the defense come out last time. So now, are they just going to take this Tier 2, maybe get that help a little bit, and then push down the mid lane? Fire Giant's going to come back up here in a little bit as it's about to fall to the wayside on not Gino and Masked. What would be the game plan? Because the timers, they're still a little bit long, but Snoopy and Meerkat do have some damage.
Was Relentless One starting at the Pyromancer here? You can tell that means it's not going to be a Phoenix attempt. They're going to be able to back off, pick up some stuff in the jungle, pick up this Gold Fury just to extend their lead even further, wait for the Fire Giant to respawn, should be coming up in just about a minute's time, and then afterwards, they'll push in for the Titan, or even just a couple more Phoenixes beforehand. But it's all dependent on this Fire Giant. That's the time where Herculean Hoofs have bought themselves some time to breathe.
They have bought themselves time to breathe. 27 minutes into the game, 9,000 now is the gold lead, and it's starting to look like a mountain. They're going to be very difficult to climb. As you can take a look at that and see on the chart, that's a pretty hard one to come back from, but they've taken a Fire Giant in the past. Can they do it again? This time, though, it's going to be 2 minutes before it becomes enhanced, AJ. Do both teams just kind of wait it out, see if maybe something can happen in a team fight situation? Or if you're Sturdy Artisans, I'm just going to go, hey, I'm going to take this. I've got vision all over the Fire Giant. I'm just going to take this Fire Giant, take this fight, and then end the game.
Sturdy Artisans definitely will be looking for the fight, looking for the engage. They have the momentum on their side. They have the 5 minutes on the left, pushing into the Titan room just to create some form of distraction. Gino's a distraction, and Gino's gone.
Oh, that's Masked. That's a double kill for Stewart as he was able to pick off 2. Gino and Masked just got deleted in response to, I would assume that was a little salty of, hey, you defended the Titan last time, now we have to take you in particular, as they both fall at the wayside of Stewart. So now, there's a Tier 2 on the right-hand side. It seems like that maybe they're going to say no to that and push a minion wave out and go ahead and start this Fire Giant.
I'd also like to point out that Athena got decimated without Sunder being available on the Sturdy Artisans. No Sunder whatsoever. But if you have a look at Gino's build, it makes sense why that's happening. A lot of unorthodox items that you wouldn't usually see on the support going into the Stone of Binding, going to the Wingblade. Yes, the Wingblade has sort of seen its return because of the fact that it has some magical protections, but it's only 30. It doesn't give you that much. It gives you a bit more in terms of your effective health by giving you some health on the item. But a Stone of Binding, it is a pure aggressive pickup here for a support. It is not something that you'll see at this stage of the game in most cases.
Well, Relentless One is going to expend that ultimate to get away. Full retreat for the Sturdy Artisans. As you saw that correctly, the left side Phoenix was able to spawn, but it's going to be weakened, so that's going to be a nice hole for the Sturdy Artisans to take if they elect to do so, which I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. Just go ahead, group up left. There's one more wave of fire minions on that left-hand side. Why not, right, AJ? Just go ahead and take it.
Yeah, just take a free Phoenix, take a free amount of gold, back to base, and spend it up yet again. That's what they've done to the right-hand side. Left-hand side is going to be the call. It's a weakened Phoenix, very easy to just push in there and take it out with your Fire Giant buff. Mid-lane Phoenix could be a call, but I doubt that they'll go for that. Once they have two Phoenixes down, they'll feel comfortable about going in, looking for the fight, or just looking for the end straight away, provided that they can deal with two issues. Fields of Love and Geno. If they deal with both of them, they can just walk in and end.
Can't do that as Mask saw Ionic and just said nope and turned around and teleported away. That was the good call for him. 5 members of the Sturdy Artisans are around this left-hand side Phoenix. And Snoopy is going to have to back, be able to see if he can help defend it with this Phoenix with his team. This one's going to go up into the air, recognizing that maybe he's not over here. He's going to take 1 leap, 2 leaps, and the next leap will come crashing down. As the Phoenix falls, he's going to fall into not Geno and just dash away, as that's another free Phoenix for the Sturdy Artisans.
Cool. Herculean Hoofs basically gave that Phoenix up. They recognized that defending on a weakened Phoenix isn't the play. Defend on this mid Phoenix where it's nice, strong, and healthy and able to fight back with you just that little bit harder. And in situations where you are playing the defensive side, where one mistake and one wrong decision can cost you the game and put you at a 1-0 disadvantage, making sure that you stack the deck in your favor as much as possible is the key to victory.
Looks like the Sturdy Artisans are waiting for their key to victory, just kind of freezing that mid wave out to see those fire minions push in on the left and right hand sides. As they're just kind of waiting there, and it's a waiting game for the Sturdy Artisans as they recognize that all path leads to this. Get some more farm, get some more things, and see if maybe you can get a couple of enhanced buffs and steal away some buffs just in case things go awry. But if things go awry at this point, if the Herculean Hooves are able to, push this somehow and push it back and able to either get a deicide or take out 4 members, that could be the game. As not Geno has recognized that Ionic is completely out of position. He's going to get taunted out. Stellar Burst going to be used. Heart Bomb as well, but not enough damage to be able to do that. But on the flip side, Scream found a target in Mass. He's at half health as well.
Sunder's not expended there by Geno or Meerkat when they taunted in Ionic. I'm very surprised about that. If you want to try and burst the tank, you need the Sunders there available. But in the style, the engagement is Meerkat up into the skies. Relentless One crashing down on the back just to try and help heal for Stewart. And up into the realms goes Meerkat.
Well, Basket gets 1 and Snoopy gets his first kill of the game, and everybody on the side of Sturdy Artisans is weak. But that's 2 down for the price of none. Scream is around the corner just to see if anything can happen. But the Titan is taking a lot of health because 2 waves of fire minions are pouring in. That is at half health. So Baskin's going to say, I've got an Odysseus bow. I'll go ahead and push this. Scream was around the corner to see if maybe he can get something. The beats do come out as he's taking a lot of poke. Meerkat as well. It's going to come crashing in as Snoopy picks up Relentless One. Mask is able to pick up Scream. That's a 4 for the price of none, but they have to defend this because the Phoenixes are down and minions are just pouring into the Titan room.
If it was just 1 Phoenix that was down, they could have looked to push up a lane and try to end, but with 2 Phoenixes and 2 lanes that they have to nurture and push back up and start to whittle away at these fire minions, it's not an end opportunity here for Herculean Hooves. It's a defensive stop that could reset the game, though. Right-hand side Phoenix has respawned. Fire Giant going to be respawning in the next 40 seconds. So opportunities here for the Herculean Hooves to push it out of their shell, push it out of their base, get some wards out, get some coverage, and potentially contest this Fire Giant.
Well, and this will be an enhanced Fire Giant. And AJ, I have to say, we had yet to say Snoopy's name in all game unless it was a death. finally he came up and showed that he was able to get a kill, actually 2 kills in that last engagement. The damage from Soul is finally coming online. Is it something to be worried about in this case? It just seems like that Snoopy just hasn't been quite that determining factor to win this. It's mostly been Gino and Baskin, as you mentioned earlier.
So far, Snoopy's damage has primarily been onto the structures, onto the objectives, and he's sitting 4th from bottom on player damage, but he's sitting around about the same damage as Stewart. The game has not taken place in dual lane. It's taken place primarily in the solo side jungle. A little bit spilled in towards the mid lane as well, but without the ADCs having other people to contest some ganks with, and other people coming in for some fights, they're going to naturally be lower on the player damage charts at this point. So I don't mind the fact that it's been mostly objective damage coming out from the Soul, because when the push comes to shove in these extra team fights, she'll come up good.
Well, Sturdy Artisans are able to get that Fire Giant. Relentless One is up in the sky. See if he can find his target. His target will be Snoopy as the beads come out, and he gets just destroyed very quickly because of that. Relentless One is able to pick up Snoopy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Look who's over on the left-hand side. That was Mass just to see if he can defend that. Field of Loves comes out, though. Relentless One will fall. That's going to be 1 for 1. Looks like that Meerkat's going to try to come crashing in, but it won't matter as Pagon is going to pick him up. So that's going to be 2 for 1 now. But Relentless One is down. That's going to be a big ultimate that was expended and used, and they don't really have much engagement as Ionic was just taking so much damage, and so is Scream, as Scream's going to back-click, but he's not going to be able to do too much, but Ionic will be able to pick up Mast in response. So now, only 2 members left, and it's the 2 members that you want, but how long will they last? Not going to be enough. Stewart's going to be able to pick up not Gino. Baskin against the world. Baskin will fall. Stewart picks up the double kill, and this is all Sturdy Artisans from here on out. Titan at half health, and Titan will fall.
35 minutes, 30 seconds, the back has finally been broken. Herculean Hoofs resistance is shattered. One by one they fell after the Fire Giant fight, and I was very surprised when Meerkat made that engagement after they got the trade, 1 for 1 over on the right-hand side Phoenix, that we didn't see the rest of Herculean Hoofs just go in straight away to try and help him. Instead, they sacrificed a member, allowed the opposition to back off, heal up with that Fire Giant, and that was their detriment in that very final play. That one little mistake cost them the game and cost them potential to defend again.
Mistakes like that at this level of play cost lives. One team fight we have always preached will win games, and that one team fight just so happens to be around that enhanced Fire Giant AJ. But we can't just, throw to the wayside how good Herculean Hooves looked in some of those defenses. They were team fighting with one of the best, if not the best team fighting team in this NA SCC.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal performance from them. They had control of the game at certain points, even had the Fire Giant around their waist for small parts who were pushing and knocking on the door of the Sturdy Artisans base. So not all hope is lost for them. Light is there, just they need to be able to build on their ability to siege Phoenixes against Sturdy Artisans a little bit more and just have that bit more cohesion about when they want to engage.
Well, Game 1 is in the books. We'll have more of a post-game discussion right after this break.
At the bar, Louis. Okay, don't try to do him like you try to do me, baby. You a cold-blooded killer like Stu. 'Cause up close, baby, you a ghost. You a demon, and you should float. Get out the way, and just go, and just go, and just float. Float like a balloon, apple, empty bottle, cork, styrofoam, and most dead bodies. You killing me, homicide. Look at your lying eyes. I should have been better laced, 'cause I failed too many times. If money the root of evil, and you call yourself a dime, you gotta be penny wise. 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 'Cause up close, baby, you a ghost. You a demon, and you should float. Get out the way, and just go, and just go, and just float.
On my own, no fixer. I'm gon' ball, no picker. That I ate those, they live for. Talking on my back, go figure. Whole team eats fun spitter. at this pocket chick. Rubber bands on my arm, this is not for play. I put 20 on the crib, while you cop a chain. I know they hated or love it. You know I love when they hate it. Last year was living basic. Haters on the other side. 3 up, read between the lines. Know I got some angels with me. Made it through some evil time. Late night on some demon time. For the sprite, I need a lot. I can't lock it, see the line. Free time. Brainstorm, you can assume with your chains on. I can see none with the lights off. Cap, you been the main one. Coolin' when I got my mains on. Show money, but those aren't the same ones. I been told you that it was game on. Been winning since I was on game one. Go. Telling me how to live like you made me. Go a dog, man, I blame you made me. Money longer than a grown-up baby. Step crazy in a new Mercedes. Thinking that's 550. 5 seats, 50 kids in there. Prime steak on my dinner plate. Nike tag for the dinner wear. Flex up, never playing dress up. Never gonna let up. Never, ever set up. Play on my fam, get wet up. Go, won't let up. Never, ever. Haters on the other side. 3 up, read between the lines. Know I got some angels with me. Made it through some evil time. Late night on some demon time. Pour the sprite, I need a line. I can't lock it, see the line. Free time.
I don't know if I'm okay. I don't see the light of day. Looking up to higher ground, thinking that'll be your sweet escape. These days gotta schedule the romance. They say that love is a slow dance. A short bike ride to the crib, using no hands. Oh, did it feel like I'm floating? But I'm falling with both eyes closed when I let the world spin. Testing the water, she got my nerves tense. Back when I ain't even have a purpose, I was so eager to learn some things. Anxiety bring out the worst in me. Society paint me as enemy. My making it by that remedy. I'm more occasional, don't do it regularly. Backs under my eyes.
Welcome back, everybody, as we're about to go into game number 2. But first, AJ, game number 1 looked really good for the Herculean Hoofs, but even better for the Sturdy Artisans. We saw just that glimmer of team fight that came out of the Sturdy Artisans time after time after time. But they had responses, Herculean Hoofs, surprisingly.
Yeah, Herculean Hoofs definitely showed that they are capable of playing at the level that we expect them to be playing at. The issue was that Sturdy Artisans brought the level up just a little bit further, and Herculean Hoofs weren't ready for that little bit of a shift in gear. It was a competitive game. It was one that certainly lives up to the hype and expectations that we have for these rosters. But if I'm the Herculean Hoofs, I am doing one thing as a big change. Get Eonic off this croc. Stop the Sobek. It is too much. It is too much for them.
Stop the Croc is going to be the name of the game, as we're seeing some Pagon highlights as he was just able to just be in these situations and just get out, as now we're seeing Stewart. And just look, that was the pluck that just decided this whole fight right there. Gino just dashing in into the damage of Stewart, and then finally Pagon able to do this Phoenix defense. Just look at the amount of damage that came out, just the amount of synergy that Sturdy Artisans had, and it just, that's their MO. Play to the strengths of Sturdy Artisans, and they have kept doing it throughout this game. But there were some chinks in the armor, and surprisingly enough, AJ, the chinks in the armor came specifically when Baskin was able to get a lot of damage with Gino in response.
It was the combination of Gino and either Mast or Gino and Baskin. Everything that was good from the Herculean Hoofs came from Gino's setup, and it's not surprising to see that he was playing Athena, probably the best support in the game right now, which, by the way, was their third pick. Third pick Athena. Overall, you have 5 bans, 4 picks beforehand, so that's 10th in the overall picks and bans was this Athena. That is criminal, and Hoofs almost made Sturdy Artisans pay for the negligence that they showed to this pick, and I think they will respect it a little bit more in the next set of picks and bans.
Yeah, they're going to have to, but I think the next one that's going to happen is we're going to need to see Meerkat step up a little bit more. He just wasn't as involved in these team fights with the Tsukiyomi, but he was there, and he was doing some great work. You were able to get picks here and there, but he just wasn't bringing as much to the team fight as we would like to see, so maybe we can see him more on a conventional warrior, or we can go into see it with Tsukiyomi again, as we are able to jump into picks and bans for game number 2 between these two Titans. And AJ, like I said, I'm thinking maybe more of a King Arthur, could call in just something that gives him a little bit more of a tank sort of feel, rather than just say, hey, I'm a Tsukiyomi, I can get into your backline easy.
It depends on if they're going to be looking for sort of the same style of draft that they were last game. It was, here's the one front line that we're going to set up from, and then everything that we do, we need to make sure that that front line engage gets a kill at the very least. And it was working out for them at times, like we said. Their ability to control and burst objectives was fantastic. The Sobek ban, like I called for, it was necessary, and I love the fact that Herculean Hoofs made that adjustment. It is a good time to be a Herculean Hoofs fan, and this is probably going to be a game where we've seen them step up a little bit further because Sturdy Artisans now need to make an adjustment.
Yeah, the Sturdy Artisans have one final ban up their sleeves, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's an Athena, but they're going to like to ban the Sun Wukong instead. So Athena is open for not Gino yet again, AJ. Do the Hoofs just take it now? But no. They take Set again, AJ. Kind of just running it back again. I'm a little surprised about that because Set was there, he was around, but it just seemed like that not Gino was way more impactful.
Set definitely did work. I can see the Sturdy Artisans having taken the Set if they weren't to pick it up, but with the fact that they sub-expand away, Sturdy Artisans are just going to take Athena 100% of the time there. So it was a choice for Herculean Hoofs at this point. Do they give up the Set or do they give up the Athena? And they feel more confident playing against an Athena than they do a Set, which is why they've taken this as a first pick.
Athena, Giannis. You want to talk about global rotations, AJ. That is literally as global as it gets, as Himdalier will be the next lock-in. And I don't know, Artisans, just with those two picks alone, give me the, oh, we're just going to be everywhere kind of match. And with this pick with Herculean Hoofs, we did get to see something. That's what we wanted to see. King Arthur will be locked in for that solo lane, and I feel like that will definitely help them a little bit more.
More resilient, like you were calling for, still provides some damage, even though it's spread over more time than it would be if he was an assassin solo laner. So the adjustments have already started coming up here for Herculean Hoofs. Artisans are taking a little bit of a leaf out of the Hoofs playbook here. Athena Cupid, that combo worked out well for you guys. Yoink, we'll take that right away. But this time we're going to be playing the Cupid in the ADC position, because I believe Screamers are going to be playing this game. We'll see when we do eventually jump into game. So it's going to be the Cupid ADC role here, and we're going to see a traditional assassin in the jungle.
Yeah, that is the hope as ban's coming out. Morgan will not be in Baskin's pocket, and neither will Merlin. As Serket and one final ban's going to come out, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's more of a jungle ban. We have seen that time and time again as Tsukiyomi is going to be that ban. That could have been solo. We did see Relentless One, go with that Ratatasker, but instead Relentless One's going to pick up the Achilles. Now, the Achilles can flex into the jungle. It's possible, AJ. I was going to ask, do you think that goes in the Scream, or do you think that just sticks with that solo laner?
I mean, Scream is a person that really likes to play the Achilles. This is one of his favored picks. He does go back to it from time to time. The question is, does it do well into the set? I can see it doing okay into the set. I could see it doing poorly into the set because of the fact he's got sustain in his skin. Doesn't do particularly well into the Ganesh. Raven, a much stronger pick overall into their team comp, so no surprise to see him elect to put the Achilles in the solo lane and take the Raven for himself.
Well, on the flip side, the Herculean Hosts have picked the big elephant himself, Ganesh and Raijin. Raijin made it all the way to 9th pick, AJ? I'm a little bit surprised because we do know that Baskin has a solid Raijin, and Raijin just in general is one of the top 5 mid laners.
Oh, I love playing Raijin. I love just spamming max CDR on him with Soul Gem and just having that 2-second cooldown reduction coincide with a 1-second cooldown reduction from your Chronos Pendant, meaning 3 seconds off all of your cooldown. It is unbelievable to feel that amount of raw power. You just get to do 2 ability rotations straight away, one after the other.
Yeah, and Raijin just, I wouldn't say he necessarily counters Giannis. We were talking earlier, actually, yesterday, AJ, about how Giannis can kind of be of a bait pick within that Raijin, and Raijin being able to be, I think, has more of a winning rate here in the SCC, but Giannis can be a little bit of a bait pick, but when it's piloted by Pagon, we do know that Pagon can control games, and from across the map, you have Pagon and Ionic just, hey, I'm going to ult the Giannis as he comes crashing over. Baskin wouldn't be, it will just look at it as it happens and then just kind of walk back into the mid lane.
I'm looking for Baskin to just play around these walls as much as possible. Doesn't want to be caught foul by Ionic or Scream's rotation, so if he's able to force him to use more mobility than they would like to extend to kill him, that would be a bonus, or if you just get away altogether, that will be superb. I am looking to see just how different this game is for Mask, because last game, on this set, he was playing a bit more reactionary, was playing very on the back foot, on the defensive. I want to see him switch up this time. I want to see him go on the offensive. I want to see him with First Blood this game.
Well, Mast. Gonna try to see if he can do some damage to Scream as Raijin comes crashing over. You want to talk about First Blood? It was pretty close. As Scream is about half health, but a great portal from Pagon will keep the man alive. Yannick and Stewart over on this left-hand side. Gina's gonna actually keep him into place, and now Stewart can't quite get... He got actually in the way of Snoopy. But it looks like Snoopy's trying to see if he can get out, as he's going to be able to use a Bifrost to disengage. But Yannick wants more. He wants blood onto this carry. Stewart doesn't quite have it, but Gino's going to root him. Yannick had to pop beats. Will it happen? Yannick will not fall, but Snoopy trying to see if he can out-trade Stewart, and so far it was working out, as the minions have made appear. But in the mid lane, Scream is trying to see if he can get Mast out of position, and Pagon will pick it up. That's going to be First Blood for Pagon, and that's going to be a return kill for Baskin. Pagon almost has it, but an auto will do it. A double kill for the mid lane.
Action all the way across the map as dashing in again is Gino, looking to try and catch off guard Ionic. Dashing in again is Snoopy as well, using that Bifrost to teleport closer to his enemies. But mid lane, I wanted to see Mask with First Blood. I meant him having First Blood, not receiving First Blood.
Well, Pagon's here, and he's just going to go ahead and start the back process, but I think it's just because that Ionic doesn't have that taunt available for him just yet. If he had that taunt, I would have been... Imagine that would have been a pretty good rotation. Between Meerkat and Relentless One over there on the right-hand side, we won't see a whole lot coming out of it until they hit level 5, but Meerkat is pretty close to being dead, as he has to go under the tier 1 safety of his tower just to get those health pots ticking. But this is looking a little bit cleaner in the mid lane from Sturdy Artisans, in my opinion, and I really want to see what Snoopy's going to be able to bring out over on this left-hand side, because we didn't see a whole lot of him, AJ.
Yeah, it was a different game for Snoopy. It was playing on the solo, playing more of a split push, objective focused play style. Every single time he rotated into a 5 versus 5, he was picked off almost instantly. He was the one that was there mainly to do objective DPS. He was there taking tier 2 towers on the left hand side. He was there trying to take the Fire Giant, even helped his team successfully get it that one time with the Stellar Burst securing it. Sorry, the Supernova secured it, not the Stellar Burst. Mid lane, try to help push down that mid lane Phoenix, but that's where he fell, and that's where Herculean Hoofs started to fall and started to tumble for the very last time. Meanwhile, for City, I'm looking at this solo lane. I'm surprised to see that the Relentless One has the control of the solo lane here. It's a King Arthur. King Arthur with Bluestone should have the solo lane on lockdown, but there's the overwhelming damage coming out from Relentless One. Seems to be a bit too much for him to handle.
Yeah, not only that, Relentless One now has a little bit of a level lead over him, probably about a half level, as he is level 5, as Meerkat just ticks over to that level 5 mark. Probably just clearing that wave, going to back himself, and probably get his tank boots, as we've always seen. The tank boots King Arthur is kind of just what it is today, you know, it's just meta. Just going to go ahead and pick that up, but Mast electing to go a little bit different this time, not as tanky as he did the first game. Instead, he goes into the Warriors tabby instead of that Reinforced Greaves. And AJ, I kind of like that pickup. That'll give Mast just a little bit more damage. But Scream and Pagon have made the rotation over. Fields of Love drop onto Snoopy. Mast is going to come onto Snoopy, and Snoopy's going to fall. Actually, Stewart's going to fall. Snoopy will fall in response. Now Mask is trying to see if he can stay alive. The Kingslayer will not happen as Scream picks up the double kill.
Pagon, great rotation from him, gets himself a kill, gets himself an assist. That's exactly what you want if you're a mid laner and you rotate, to be rewarded for it. And rewarded he was. Unfortunately, they couldn't save the life of their ADC, who did start off that engagement, but picking up a 2-for-1 trade, I'm sure he's happy with that.
Well, anybody would be happy with that, especially since his ultimate was expended, to see if maybe they can get something on the back end. As it looks like this is what we wanted to see out of Meerkat a little bit, AJ. Relentless One having to back away under his own tower now that King Arthur's level 6. We are seeing Ionic kind of just be more aggressive, but looks like Relentless One might actually take the trade, as not Gino's going to come back in, but he's got the ultimate. It comes crashing down, and here comes Mast. He's able to come in with a great pick, and Meerkat's going to get away with literal 22 HP, it seems. He's just going to get out with alive, and he's going to clear a wave and just get away.
That rotation from Mast saves Meerkat. If Relentless One lives for even another second, Meerkat dies to the damage from combat dodge, the Bluestone combined, as well as the taunt from Athena. Great play from Mast And great play from Meerkat as well. Meerkat delays for long enough, gets the call out early for Mass to rotate over here. They're most likely going to dive me with Athena ult. You need to come and help me out. I'll buy as much time as possible. Gets into the Excalibur's Wrath ultimate at the perfect time. Yes, he takes up Relentless One with an Athena ult on top of him, but he avoids the crash down damage, which is a huge amount of damage avoided.
Yeah, that damage would have actually killed Meerkat, and Mass would have probably fallen pretty quickly in response, but great heads-up play from Herculean Hoofs, especially on the right-hand side. Meerkat was struggling a little bit in that game 1, and now he's kind of catching himself back up into game number 2, and whenever you're talking about solo laners, you want to see who's going to be the most impactful, and King Arthur can definitely fill that role. When Meerkat's piloting in and he starts rotating a little bit faster, it could spell disaster for the Sturdy Artisans.
Well, so far, Sturdy Artisans find themselves 1,500 gold up. This Gorp should add to that lead a little bit for them and start to potentially be the beginning of a snowball for them, which is exactly what they want. They want to try and get this game ended quicker than the 35 minutes that they did in the last game. Meerkat and Relentless One trading out yet again. Different story in the solo in this game, which is much needed for Herculean Hoofs. It's no longer Meerkat dying, oh, Meerkat's dead again, gets back to the lane, dies to a gank from Scream, rotates back into the lane, forced back from Relentless One, rotates back in, blue buff down, and then he's 3 levels down. It's a constant toe-to-toe battle here between himself and Relentless One. He finds himself a slight bit of experience ahead.
Well, Mass has made the rotation over as Relentless One has to ult to get away from it. Not Gino. Here on this red buff, seeing if maybe he can look for a little steal, but I think he's a little bit caught out. But Baskin is around the corner just to make sure that Ionic doesn't do too much to the poor elephant. You're absolutely right. It seems that Meerkat is playing a way better game, but I also have to talk about how Mass is playing a little bit more of an impactful game. He's been kind of more on this map. He's been a part of every single kill that the Herculean Host had when we didn't say his name for the first 15 minutes in game number 1.
I wanted to see a change from him from game number 1 where he was more active this time round, and he has done that and delivered and then some. Yes, he's died twice, but most of the things that have been good for Herculean Hoofs that happened with him around. Pagon under some duress. Mass comes in yet again, taunted away thanks to Ionic.
Well, the ults come flying in, but nothing's going to happen for either team. Scream is able to be a little bit more patient and hold on to his ultimate. Pagon expended his ult a little bit earlier before that engagement, but looked like there was some troubling times for the support player, and especially mid lane. Pagon was taking a little bit of damage from Baskin, but again, it just seems like they're playing a very protective game. Sturdy Artisans just know how to defend their carries.
Herculean Hoofs, Sturdy Artisans. Game that's so far has lived up to expectations in my mind. 8 minutes 30 into the second game, and the first game went almost a distance, going beyond 35 minutes just about. This game, I think, is going to go the same. It certainly is in that deadlock state right now. Sturdy Artisans do have the lead, but it's by no means a comfortable lead. It's by no means a lead that they can press forward with, especially when pressing forward is Baskin over the wall, finds the kill, and ties up the kills.
I just love how everybody says, hey, Raijin can't counter a Giannis, but I just saw Raiju specifically say, hey, I'm in the navel of this Giannis, and I want to kill him, and Baskin was able to find out that kill. As he's going to come crashing in, Taunt comes out as well. Scream has to use his ultimate, but Ionic gets rooted into place and knocked up. Baskin gets another kill for this Raijin. He's just banging on the drums all day. As this red buff is going to spawn, that will help. Gino's going to get this red buff around his waist, and big wins for Herculean Hoofs here.
Herculean Hoofs, and they're playing as a 3v3 in mid. They're playing as that core like they should be doing, because it's a very powerful core. You have the pure CC and lockdown coming from Gino, you have a little bit coming out from Baskin as well, and then just unbridled damage from all 3 of them. Dharmic Pillars, the hardest hitting support ultimate in the game. Baskin on Raijin showed multiple times throughout this entire year, throughout multiple seasons, that he will do damage on this pick. And then Set, do we even have to talk about Set?
Nah, Set's just one of those junglers that we know that they can run games whenever they get a little bit snowbally, and so far, Mass is he's not necessarily behind in any sort of way. He's definitely more impactful than game number 1, as he has been a part of every single kill. Still, 5 kills for the Herculean Hoes. So even though he's down a level, it just seems that Scream is more focused on farming at this case, but Scream has also been a part of every single kill. So remember how we were talking about at the very beginning of this set that, hey, we want to see how the jungler is going to handle it? That's definitely what's going to happen. Talk about handling. Stuart is trying to see if he can solo Snoopy. Snoopy's trying his best. The ultimate comes out, but instead of dashing in, Stuart's going to dash away. Ionic saving life because of the Defender of Olympus.
So odd to have seen Stuart miss so many basics in a row there. He's usually very calm, collected, and accurate with his basic attacks and his abilities in those sorts of situations. Without his Aegis, was a bit of a risk taking that engagement, but did use his beats at the correct time. Snoopy waits until he needs to use his ultimate as a form of CC immunity from the Fields of Love, so he doesn't have to use the beads as well, meaning he's going to have that available for any form of potential gank that Scream's going to do, or if Stuart gets his Fields of Love up sooner rather than later.
Well, Baskin looked like he was in a little bit of a bad situation, but he was able to Thunder Crash over the wall as 3 members are still on this left-hand side. Armor Pillars are going to get dropped, Ionic and Stuart. Stuart's actually going to get ohmed, so he can't actually dash away, but he does have the Aegis available, but will it matter? He's able to dash away, but Snoopy will pick him up in the back end. Ionic now trying to see if he can help out his mid laner get away, as he's able to pick up the buff, but Ionic gets crashed on by Thunder Crash. Taunt comes out as it does happen, but Baskin's going to go up into the Tycho drums. 1, 2, 3, but he turns around onto Scream as Mask picks up Scream in response. And now Mask, look at this, he's trying to dive in onto Pagon, but he takes a tower shot and says, nah, I'm good, I kind of want this Gold Fury instead.
Gold Fury? Yeah, Gold Fury going to be the call here from Herculean Hoofs, and good reward for their well-timed aggression there onto that left-hand side, catching Stuart out without any of his relics, managed to pick him off first. Good disengagement of the sturdy Artisans, almost a kill onto Mast as he dove in that tier 2 tower mid, but Scream caught completely unawares there in his own jungle, falls down, and sturdy Artisans lose a Gold Fury and lose the lead. Actually, they still have the lead in this game. They're down 3 kills as well as a Gold Fury. The gold's only really just updated on that. Okay, there we go. Gold difference, pretty much negligible at this point, but experience is where the name of the game is for Herculean Hoofs here.
Yeah, it seems interesting, though, that you pointed that out, that the gold lead was actually in Sturdy Artisan's favor this entire time. And then, even with the gold streak falling for Herculean Hoofs, hey, they still made it negligible. So the farm game for Sturdy Artisans is definitely helping them out. But as you mentioned, XP starts to kind of waver into a factor. Taking a quick little glance over everything, it looks like really only 1 level, actually 2 levels separate anybody, and that's going to be in the carry and in the jungle lane in response for Herculean Hoofs.
Herculean Hoofs definitely need to press the advantage in those areas. Look to continue fighting this 3v3 in mid, because that's where they have found most of their success. Baskin, Masked, and Gino having some great games here. I'd say Baskin and Masked in particular have found themselves some good fortune in their plays. Over the wall, blind. Does manage to find a kill onto Pagon earlier on. That's not something you will usually be able to pick up. Speaking of unusual pickup, Breastplate of Valor for Baskin.
Well, give a little bit of cooldown to give a little bit more physical protection for whenever Scream just inevitably dives on him. He kind of got a little bit of a taste of that last game, as they are able to take that red buff. The Dharma Pillars were dropped just to see if they could possibly zone out Pagon from defending this tier 1, but Ionic was around the corner and just helped him out a little bit more. But this tier 1 will inevitably fall. 4 members of the Herculean Hooves are here. Gino's going to tank it. 1 shot will do it, and that's going to help out. But Relentless One is now a little bit in a bad place, as he was trying to get his own blue buff. He was able to get it, but almost at what cost? Half his health seemed to be the case.
He just wants to get some mana. Are you seriously blaming the man for wanting to have mana in the solo lane? It is our lifeblood as a solo laner to have that blue buff, and if you so much as even look at it wrong as my lane opponent, I will try and destroy you. Unless I'm behind. At which point, I'm just going to have to watch as you do it and suffer internally.
Well, you have to remember, too, in Game 1, Relentless One had full control over that solo lane, so maybe this is a little bit of taste of his own medicine that Meerkat's able to bring in and be able to just make sure that he has full control over this. But speaking of full control, we got to talk about Baskin, right? Now, granted, Pagon is keeping up with him in terms of level. It's probably about like a half-level lead in response, but Baskin alone has been just doing so much damage. If you take a look at the chart, it doesn't seem like that much, but in regards to the mid lane, he's right there with Pagon, and Pagon made early rotations.
Pagon got early rotations, early kills, and as a Janus, being able to influence the map a bit more, if the fights have been taking place on the left and right hand side, you would expect the Yanis to be ahead. Given the fights are taking place in mid lane, you would expect both mid laners to be a bit higher on their player damage charts. But I think that's just a testament to the fact that Mast has been very active around the map, and the solo laners are still doing what they do best, which is slap fight.
Active indeed, as Pagon's going to have to use the through space and time. Scream's going to blink on, and the Aegis comes out for Mast, as now he's going to get the ultimate. Defender of Olympus come crashing down. Mast does fall. Baskin trying to see if he can do some damage onto Scream. Snoopy's made a rotation, but also the solo laners are here. Relentless One gets a two-man stun, but he gets stunned down, has to pop beads himself. Pagon just trying to see if he can extend his life a little bit more, trying to see if maybe he can give a portal or two to give the solo laner. But instead, he's going to go and clear this right-hand side, make sure everything's good, and that was a good little trade for Sturdy Artisans, picking up one for the price of none. But Mask, you mentioned yourself, Mask has been just present throughout this entire game. Every single kill has been he has been a part of. So now that he's fallen, that will help the Sturdy Artisans case.
Just slow them down a little bit, put the brakes on the train, which is Herculean Hoofs were looking to try and pull out of the station any second now. But Mass on that respawn timer has come back up now. 3-3 and 4 for the jungle versus 3-2 and 2. Snoopy forced to use that ultimate early, teleports a bit further back into the safety of his tower because Ionic is roaming around this jungle. But this does open up opportunities for the Sturdy Artisans to look towards this Oni Fury.
The Oni Fury will be spawning here any second now. Greater Scorpion will fall, and that'll give everybody enhanced buffs on that left-hand side. Well, not everybody. Baskin dropped his red buff a little bit early, so he won't get the lifesteal that comes with it. But Meerkat is around, so these solo leaders are starting to make their rotations and make their presence known. That could lead to this Oni Fury, and this is a big objective. Whoever gets this Oni Fury not only gets a little bit of a gold lead, but gets a minion lead as well with those buffed minions that come out.
That can be a bit of a boost, or it could also be a bit of a detriment, because with those boost minions, oh hang on, Baskin takes half his health through that through space and time. It does so much damage. Yeah,
but Meerkat picks up Ionic. Frenzy was popped as well. Relentless One is in the back. He's going to have to use his ultimate to get out. Thunder Crash comes back in, but Pagon was trying to see if he can find his counterpart. Stewart's taking a lot of damage, so he's going to have to dash away. So now Relentless One is trapped between 4 members of the Herculean Hooves. No ultimate available for him. He's going to come crashing down. He's going to get stunned. Bastion's going to go up into the ultimate. He will pick it up. He's on a killing spree.
And no casualties suffered by Herculean Hoofs, 2 by the Sturdy Artisans. They're looking good money and good value for their lead. Speaking of money, it's time to cash in. Oni Fury going to be the play here. Meerkat on zone duty against 3 members of Sturdy Artisans, one of which is weak and not full health right now. That's Stewart, who's just backing away. The rest of the members backing off as well. They're giving up the Oni Fury as Herculean Hoofs start to open this game up for themselves.
They're opening it up tremendously for them, and this is what we wanted to see. You said it yourself. You wanted to see Meerkat be more aggressive. Can he be more aggressive, AJ? I really don't think he can. He's been a part of every single kill. Now, granted, he has been kind of the bait, it seems like, some of these times, but being a part of every single kill as a jungler, you know you just have an impact in the game.
You know you are the focal point in the game if 18.5 minutes you have still been involved in every single kill that your team has, yes. He has been the one to engage these fights. Every single time he has gone in, he's been the one that Scream in particular has been worried about. Most of the times when these engagements go down, it's been an Athena ult on top of Scream just to try and deal with Mass. And if you're combining 2 ultimates and 2 players to deal with one other person, that frees the floor for Gino, that frees the floor for Baskin, that frees the floor for Snoopy and Meerkat to do more things that they want to do in these fights. Do they want to do more damage? They got the space to do so. Do they want to zone a bit more? I got 2 of them locked down. You're going to take less damage so you can zone a bit more effectively on some of the other high-value targets.
Well, Mask is getting pushed up by Relentless One. Ionic taking a lot of damage from Baskin. Baskin's at that level 19 as Meerkat frinks up the Relentless One. A portal has been dropped to save his own bud, as Achilles is able to get out with that portal from Pagon. Fire Giant is being hovered around here, but I think Herculean Hooves just want to get one pick. One singular pick is all that matters. As Baskin comes aggressive, comes dashing in. The Fields of Love as well get expended, and now Baskin's going to have to use the ultimate. He's going to try to see if he can find anybody. Fortunately, he will not hit anybody, but Scream come crashing down with not Gino. Actually, not Gino is just around, just giving the Ohm as he drops the Dharmic Pillars. Ionic comes crashing in with the Defender of Olympics. Meerkat is the target for that taunt, but not going to really matter. Lots expended for both squads, yet seems like Snoopy's just able to get out freely.
Yeah, Snoopy barely escapes by the skin of his teeth. And the rest of the members of Herculean Hoofs just add no response to the rest of the aggression from Sturdy Artisans. Just shows that despite the fact that the Hoofs are ahead by about 2,000 gold, despite the fact, well, it's about 1,500 now. Despite the fact that they have that lead, it's not secure just yet, and it's anything to write home about. It's the fact that it is a slender lead. It is something that can be fought into. It's something that can be flipped on its head in just one instance. Just one mistake can turn the tide of this game, and Sturdy Artisans will be back on top.
Yeah, Sturdy Artisans are definitely looking for that one mistake, and Herculean Hoofs, they have been known to make a mistake or two, so will it actually happen, or will they be continuing to play the clean game that they have been in game number 2? 21 minutes in, as you mentioned, the gold lead, not really anything to worry about. The XP difference is going to start showing not really any sort of prevalence either. Take a look at that, AJ. 1,400 experience, and that's just because people are starting to hit that level 20 mark now, and as that still ticks up in a little bit of favor, we just need to start seeing some team fights, start grouping around. Fire Giant is the only neutral objective available.
I want to see some of these players pick up their upgraded starter items. We have one out there already, and that's Gem of Focus being built up here by Baskin in that first slot. Gem of Focus will give you some extra power, as well as some extra damage mitigation as you constantly cast abilities up to 3 stacks. As you can see, has just been hovered up there. Movement speed as well for your trouble. It gives a lot of good stats, which if you've built a cooldown focused build, that you will love to have.
Yeah, Gem of Focus has been a priority pick for the mid laners. Team fighting seems to be looking around this right-hand side. Ward coverage has been able to spot 3 members out for it, as Meerkat's going to blink in. He's going to stun out Stewart, but Meerkat's going to get stunned in response. Field of Love comes out. He gets executed. Relentless One's able to pick up one. Baskin's going to try to see if he can throw out some damage. Stewart taking a lot of damage, but look at that. The Aegis keeps him alive for just a little bit, but Mass says, nuh-uh, not today. As now the rest of the Herculean Hooves are responding. Thunder Crash comes in on the Baskin. Scream is able to pick up Mass. Scream is diving in on the Baskin, which is not where you really want to go. Relentless One can't really get into this fight. Snoopy's able to pick up Scream, and that's going to be a 2 for 2. Couple of carries fall, and only Meerkat and Mass are the ones that fall. But yet again, Mass still a part of every single kill.
2 for 2 trades. Sturdy Artisans stall the game a little bit longer. Make sure that they're able to close that gap just a little bit and get them closer towards a tied game. It's all about baiting out time. It's all about slowing the game down for Sturdy Artisans to find themselves back into the mix of things. Meerkat, he fell very quickly there. Don't expect it to be as easy as that every single time, but the thing that they can rely on, Herculean Hooves, is that if they get a target taunted, it is almost a guaranteed execute for a Relentless One. The only person that they're not guaranteed to instantly put down this execute threshold will be Meerkat. Later on in the game, I imagine Gino's going to be very easy to kill given his build of Spear of the Magus on this Ganesh. Means that he is going to be more easy to kill with, a bit more squishy. This is an odd pickup, but it's one that kind of makes sense when you think about the whole idea of Herculean Hoops comp. They want to just destroy a single target as quickly as possible. So if you stack the deck in your favor, put as much damage increase on them as possible, but as much damage increase on your team as possible, then it can get to the point where this pickup almost becomes a frontliner's dream because you're just killing the enemy frontliner that much quicker.
Well, level 20s are starting to tick away, but take a look on the right-hand side of their map. That's Sturdy Artisans, all level 20 except for the support. On the left-hand side, you haven't even seen Mass tick over to that level 20 mark, but he will pretty soon, along with Not Gino. And when you get your support, level 19, almost level 20, and he's about the same level as your jungler, if not the exact same level, that just shows how much team fighting is actually occurring. And I kind of like what you mentioned, the Spear of Magus pickup for it. It's definitely something that's more bursty. And is he going into a... I can't be mistaken. That's a Staff of Mirrodin, isn't it?
Oh my... I love this item. I love it. 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 It's... You've not done the rope combo twice, have you?
I have not done the rope combo twice.
Oh, it's so much fun to do. You put down the ult, you put them on the ropes, then you go, oh, that was fun, let's do it again, and knock them up again with your charge Ionic. It's the first one to fall in this fight, unable to escape through the fields of love, as Baskin picks up the first kill.
And through space and time was expended and just threaded the needle. No one was connected with that. Pagon doesn't have that ultimate expended, which means, guess what? We have plenty of time to grab this Fire Giant as it's going to get started off. Relentless One is around. Frenzy has been popped to make this thing go a little bit faster as it does drop. Herculean Hooves have destroyed the Fire Giant. And now it looks like they're going to push down this right-hand side. Why not? Minions are already there.
Yeah, might as well get this tier 2 tower, get the Phoenix, and they've been in this position before, Herculean Hoofs, in this last game, almost at this exact time, was they got the Fire Giant, they pushed up a tower, then they pushed into the Phoenix, and lost 4 members of their team. Has to be different this time, has to be a different approach to it.
Will we get to see Deja Vu yet again? Relentless One's going to come in. He's going to get owned, but Defender of Olympus comes crashing down as Snoopy takes a lot of damage. But who else is taking a lot of damage? Look at that. That's Mast in the back, just doing absolute destroying damage. Snoopy's going to be able to clean it up. Mast falls in response. Relentless One had to get the execute off. Scream comes crashing back down, but he takes a portal to save his own life as Relentless One is very weak. Basket trying to see if he can get it out, but Pagon is now the target as he makes him fall. He's on a rampage. Relentless One so close. The Thunder Crash will happen, but it will not be able to clean up. The right-hand Phoenix will fall because Snoopy was still there doing some damage with it. Not Gino still in the back to make sure. So 2 for the price of 1, and they get a Phoenix, but Relentless One is still taking a lot of damage. He doesn't have that escape to get away. He's doing some damage, and now he's going to fall. That's a good stun. Snoopy's able to pick him up.
They could look to end here. Snoopy a bit too low, though, might be the concern here. You're like up in 12 seconds. And with that respawn timer and the fact that Snoopy was a bit too low, they're going to back off here. Probably also makes reason that they back off because there's 3 towers and 2 Phoenixes remaining. That Titan's going to swing as well as have a fair bit of protections to it. So just backing off for now. But Sturdy Artisans, their base is open. They're exposed. They could potentially lose a game here.
Tier 2 tower will fall. This is different than what we saw in game number 1 as Ionic is able to get a 3-man top because of the beads. Scream comes crashing down. Stewart's able to pick up Snoopy because of that Fields of Love, but Stewart is stuck in the Dark Pillars for the time being until they come out. Scream get the blink off the Ionic, trying to ult back in, but unfortunately Scream had to completely disengage through space and time, will get thrown out, but will not connect on anybody yet again. But again, they're able to get Snoopy, and that's their tower damage, so that tier 2 tower still stands for the Sturdy Artisans.
Oh, Gino looking for the engage onto Ionic. He is low. He's caught out by himself. The Raiju isn't going to proc, but look who's there. It's Masked. Kingslayer popped to pick up that kill. And Sturdy Artisans, without a support, are having to run with the tail between their legs.
Well, they're going to try to run as fast as they can. Scream throwing out as much of a stun as he could, but it was just out of range. Basket throwing out his ultimate to see if he could taunt anybody back in. And he's able to get Stewart a couple of times, but that's really all that's going to be it. So now Herculean Hooves are going to disengage. Mast is in this mid tower. Relentless One's able to get a stun. The Aegis gets popped because he was taking some good tower shots. Relentless One can't seem to kill the Mast himself, so he's going to have to disengage from that as the tier 2 tower will finally fall.
There goes some extra gold into the pockets there for Herculean Hoofs, and it just gives them an extra 2,600 gold difference from where they were before this Fire Giant started. It is so far a successful Fire Giant, a Phoenix taken down, another Phoenix exposed. The icing on the cake for this Fire Giant will be to take down these final 2 towers on this left-hand side. They only have 40 seconds left of this Fire Giant, so I imagine it's just going to be a tier 1, followed by the Primal Fury, and then set up again for another Fire Giant.
We got to talk about the Staff of Mirrodin pickup, right? We were talking about it a little bit, the rope-dope combo that Gino is able to have, but what about this Staff of Mirrodin makes it so potent? And also, it stacks pretty well with this Sphere of the Magus.
It's simply because it's just extra guaranteed damage. The thing about Staff of Mirrodin is that your first ability cast will do 75% less damage, and then receive 0 cooldown. So what if you use that ability on an ability that has no damage to it, or very little damage, or negligible damage to it? So you use it on an ability that's got CC, well, you can't reduce the CC, because that's not classified as damage. So Staff of Mirrodin just gives you a free cast of a CC ability, with no downsides to it whatsoever.
They do back after getting that tier 2 tower on the left-hand side. Fire Giant will be coming up here any second now. And once that Fire Giant does spawn, AJ, I'm going to assume that that's going to be the main focus for just about everybody on this Herculean Hooves and the Sturdy Artisan side, because whoever falls, that could spell the end of the game, and it looks like Herculean Hooves want the Sturdy Artisans to be the receiving end of that death. And they've been showing that they belong in this number 3 seed, and they're definitely taking it to the number 1 seed.
Yeah, they want to push in, they want to try and get this number 1 seed, or this number 2 seed, sorry, away from Tiburones de Tijuanas. But to do that, they've got to go through Sturdy Artisans still. big test of resolve here for them to keep hold of this game and close it out. So the Artisans are not going to make it easy for them as they look to try and put some defensive stop over here onto this right-hand side before the Phoenix is even respawned.
Some pressure coming out of the Herculean host just to make sure that that fire giant spawns, and now they're going to go back into the jungle. Eye of the Jungle has been sold for Mast as he's able to go into a little bit something more tankier going into that robe build. As Gino's taking a little bit of poke, but no one's really going to do any damage to this fire giant because it's now enhanced. Two-man taunt coming out of Ionic, and Meerkat's going to get stunned out. Bastion's going to come crashing down, but Relentless One is going to pick up a stun. Through space and time won't connect, as now Bastion is up into the ultimate, and Ionic goes down as well. Scream's going to be able to pick up Bastion. Meerkat's able to pick up Paycon because he's in the back. Now Ionic is all alone. He's going to take through the portal as Stewart's trying to dash away, but Mask is able to clean him up easily. Relentless One now trying to run away. He's able to get the dash off. Now Ionic gets another two-man taunt, but Mast is here and he is ready to do some damage. He goes right back in. Meerkat picks him up. Scream will fall to Mast as a double kill. Mask has been a part of every single kill except for 2, and they're going to run it down this mid Phoenix, and they could look to end the game because the only person left is Ionic. He is at half health. He's going to try to see if he can save it, but I don't think it'll matter. They're going to run right into this Titan room.
Yeah, Snoopy's positioning tells you that this is going to be game. They're hungry for it. They want to take this to a third game, and they will do just that. Mast, Gino, Meerkat, and Snoopy, all versus Ionic. And no, it's former teammates with Snoopy and Ionic, but they're just going to obliterate his health bar first. No chance of interruptions, no chance of disruptions. Deicide there. And 31 minutes, 51 seconds into the game, we're going to a game number 3.
AJ, when you have games like this, you know, you think of like master heavyweight matches, right? And this is definitely one of them. A lot of name recognition, and it's just showing the powerhouse of these two teams. Even though the Herculean Hoofs are the 3rd seed, AJ, they're showing that they belong in this playoff.
Yeah, they're showing that this is a set that they want to win, not just go through the motions of losing because it's the undefeated team. No, they want to take this scalp. They want to prove that they deserve to be within a shout to be the best team in the SCC.
Well, we're going to break down game number 2 here and go into picks and bans for game number 3 right after this break.
Got yourself a new man. It ain't even been a month. I feel sorry for your boo, cause he don't know what he signed up for. Do he? Ooh, yeah, I heard that you met him at the bar, Louis. Hope you don't try to do him like you tried to do me, baby. You a cold-blooded killer like Stu. Cause up close, baby, you a ghost. You a demon, and you should float. Get out the way, and just go, and just go, and just float. Float like a balloon, apple, empty bottle, cork, styrofoam, and most dead bodies. You killing me, homicide. Look at your lying eyes. I should have been better laced, cause I failed too many times. If money the root of evil, and you call yourself a dime, you gotta be penny wise. 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 Cause up close, baby, you a ghost. You a demon, and you should float. Get out the way, and just go, and just go, and just float.
On my own, no fixer. I'm gon' ball, no picker. That I ate those, they live for. Talking on my back, go figure. Whole team eats from splitter. Never was the one to go flicker. No face, no case, no picture. Full place, big stakes, my dinner. Flip that, Canal Street. Flip back. Last week, old money. This week, new racks. Never buy none more. If I can't afford to gift wrap, stunning in your foreign car. You keep riding rental tax. Heard you roll the as a lean, we are not the same. Couple thousand in my pocket, this pocket shit. Rubber bands on my arm, this is not for play. I put 20 on the crib, while you cop a chain. I know they hated or love it. You know I love when they hate it. Last year was living basic. Haters on the other side. 3 up, read between the lines. Know I got some angels with me. Made it through some evil times. Late night on some demon time. Pour the Sprite, I need a love. I can assume with your chains on. I can see none with the lights off. Cap, you been the main one. Coolin' when I got my mains on. Show money, but those aren't the same ones. I been told you that it was game on. Been winning since I was on game one. Telling me how to live like you made me. Go a dog, man, I blame you made me. Money longer than a grown-up baby. Step crazy in a new Mercedes. Thinking that's 550. 5 seats, 50 kids in there. Prawn steak on my dinner plate. Nike tag for the dinner wear. Flex up, never playing dress up. Never gonna let up. Never, ever, ever. Set up, play on my fam, get wet up. Go, 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 won't let up. Never, ever, ever. Haters on the other side. 3 up, read between the lines. Know I got some majors with me. Made it through some evil time. Late night on some demon time. Pour the Sprite, I need a line. I can't lie, can't see the line. Freeze time.
Game number 3, AJ. It's been a long set. You know, we're almost at the hour. Actually, I think we actually crinked over the hour mark for this set. Both games going into 30 minutes post. And AJ, it's just fitting for both of these teams. The name recognition alone just shows the heavy hitters that both these teams have. And deservedly, Sturdy Artisans need to be number 1, but Herculean and Hoofs are showing they're not down just yet, and they have a lot more for this next tournament.
I'll actually say that right now, Herculean Hoofs are playing better than the Sturdy Artisans are. Game number 1 took a lot for Sturdy Artisans to come back into and win that game, whilst this time round, it was Herculean Hoofs' game, just more protracted, I would say, in terms of how long it took them to take full control over it and start to close it out. But it never looked like they were in danger from about the 15-minute mark.
Yeah, you know, we're showing clips of Baskin, but all I can think of is this man alone, masked. It was the mask show for this game. We wanted to see how more prevalent he could be in game number 2, and he just shows time and time again. He was a part of almost every single kill. I think he wasn't a part of 2, and that was just because he was dead, unfortunately. So we wanted to see some more aggression out of him, and sure enough, we got it, AJ.
We were debating whether it should have been the Athena or the Set first pick, and Mass proved that it should definitely have 100 have been the Set. The Athena on Ionic, not as impactful as the Sobek was in the previous game. Going to continue with that Sobek ban, I imagine. And if I'm Sturdy Artisans, I'm probably switching up my bans to get rid of this Set.
Yeah, the Set definitely is one of the ones that's going to have to go. But we were talking about masked. Gino didn't die at all that game. We were talking about
with
how
potent
he was. He was that build in particular. He just didn't die, AJ. He was there all the time. And that Staff of Mirrodin pickup, which baffles me and probably baffles even some people in chat, it worked. Big brain IQ, not Gino.
It works because you keep people on the rope for a lot longer, they take a lot more damage there, but in place for a bit longer, which means the rest of your team has more time to set up and kill them. It is just there to facilitate an easier kill. Alternatively, you can use it for double ohm to protect your backline a little bit more, or you can use it for double damage increase with the Turn of Fate. And I don't even want to think about how much you could get from that.
I'm not going to do math on numbers, AJ, and I definitely don't have those numbers ingrained into my head, but we can't just say, hey, you know, Sturdy Artisans kind of rolled over. They didn't. They still showed some great resolve in that game too, but now we're going to jump into picks and bans for game number 3. Let's see if things start getting switched up a little bit, AJ, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do because Artisans have elected to take that first pick.
Yeah, just changing up some of the bans, I would imagine Scylla seems to be the flavor band here for most teams in the NASCC. No matter what game that we're watching, it has been a Scylla ban every single game, and I'm very surprised by it. The elephant's taken off the table.
Yeah.
Wow, they're paying respect to Gino's Ganesh.
Yeah, the Ganesh, we didn't even talk about it, it seemed like in game other than just like a question mark build type thing, but then he just kind of went off, and you know what's still open, AJ? That Set's still open up there. Set has not been banned out yet, and neither has Athena, so it's technically could be happening as Nemesis gets banned, so this could be a Sturdy Artisans, hey, we're going to take that Set away from you.
I mean, yeah, it has to be. It absolutely has to be. No. Hello?
Sun Wukong? Now, granted, we wouldn't normally be mind-baggled, right? Like that, chat, when it comes to the Sun Wukong. Obviously, one of the top 3 solo laners in the game. But Athena, set. Immediate going to be locked in for the Herculean Hoofs, right? It has to be.
Absolutely, 100%. 100% has to be Athena
Meerkat
set.
just ran the game. Like, we just have to see the set now and move on, right? There it is.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, just want to make sure. Production. Did we get the we got? Oh, this is correct. It was a Wukong. They didn't misclick. Okay, they actually meant to lock in Wukong. Okay, there we go. Okay, sorry, just had to confirm that out of the way. I need to see this Wukong get first blood in lane and control the game, because if you're first picking Wukong over taking away a staple pick from their last comp in this set and not let to take the Athena as well, which did work for Herculean Hoofs in game number 1, you are essentially saying that this Wukong is more valuable and more of a problem to Hoofs than a set Athena will be to you. It just baffles me. This Wukong has to pop off, otherwise it's a mistake to have taken it as a first pick.
The Herculean Hoofs are showing a reminiscence of game number 1, but with a little added twist of game number 2. That's going to be King Arthur locked in for that solo lane. And, you know, Heimdallr Merlin, we saw Pagon do really well with it in game number 1. We also saw Heimdallr kind of do some really good work in game number 1 and game number 2. Again, though, it's just, I'm still mind-baggled by the fact that set Athena just kind of left open, and that was the staple picks. Raijin going to be banned out. No surprise there. Baskin had a really good performance with him, and Scream's Ravana is actually going to get banned out as well. Again, kind of just making sure everybody gets a little bit of a check there. But Herculean Hoofs do have this next pick, AJ, and I wouldn't be surprised. Giannis is still available.
You called it. Maybe you should be doing this chat 2 thing. You're quite good at it.
No, that's just something I kind of threw in there. I was like, hey, Baskin's got a good Giannis, and bam, it just locks in.
Oh, well, Giannis is going to be the pickup here for Herculean Hoofs. Doesn't combine super well with Athena, but at the same time can combine really well with Athena in the late game. It's just that early game you can struggle with it a little bit. The set should be there to help back up that damage a little bit. Yamoja and Scream's Susano has made its return here. Oh,
that's horrifying. That's now we haven't seen Susano. I haven't seen Susano in a minute, AJ. But when Scream is playing the Susano, you're going to talk about some great mechanical plays on her. Going to be locked in for the Herculean Hoofs. We did see a little bit of a nerf, but nothing to worry about there. That was just the Desert Fury. But it's the Susano pick, I'm assuming that Baskin is his number 1 target. Baskin is public enemy number
100%.
1 or set, because, you know, Mask could be also kind of roaming around the map, and if he gets that little tornado that teleports him to set, that could spell a little bit of a problem for Herculean Hoofs as well.
Question for you. Where's Chiron? Where's Chiron been this entire set?
Not banned, not picked. It seems like neither of these teams really prioritize him, as we are going to jump into game number 3 between the 2 Titans themselves. And AJ, I got to say, between these comps, Herculean Hoofs just scream kind of like they won it yet again. It was a much, you know, in game 1 we talked about how it was a good comp, but just something didn't seem to click, and then all of a sudden Meerkat's playing King Arthur, then it clicked. And now he's on it again, and Mast is on the set. And not Geno's playing Athena. Great win for the Herculean Hoofs, just in the picks and ban phase.
Yeah, the draft certainly looks to be strong from Herculean Hoofs. I would love this draft in every single game that I play. Just give me this draft week in, game out, and I will be a happy coach. But there's one thing that they didn't contend with last game that I have to contend with now, and that's loads and loads of shields and healing. Ionic playing this Umoja is going to be the key factor here in this game. I'm looking to see whether Sturdy Artisans switch up here to go more damage, front-loaded jungler in terms of Scream with a little bit more AoE control, alongside Ionic with this healer to mix this game up and get the win.
Well, Masked just immediately gets falls to the side of Pagon, and that was because of the Scream Pagon pluck into the actual ice damage itself. So Pagon able to transform into the arcane stance and get that first blood, but, you know, not surprising to see this combination work. Scream's Susano is just, he won worlds off it. It's not anything to be, it's really scary to be about, right? He's going to let her little tick do some damage. I thought he would have teleported and gone in, but elected not to. Smart call from the world champion.
He could have got it if he was level 3. If he was level 3, 100% a full-on commit there to try and kill Baskin. Pagon almost overcommits himself to death there. But luckily enough, he has the flicker to get away from the bad situation as he does take it to level 3 and gets himself to safety.
Well, beads were expended for Stewart because he would have gotten impaled into a wall, so he actually would have fallen there, but unfortunately, he will not fall. As Mass is taking a lot more damage from Pagon, and Pagon's not going to go through that portal, but he will get hit through the unstable vortex, and one auto would do it. Baskin picks up a return kill on the mid lane.
Gino almost falls down there. Stewart teleports in. Snoopy sees his opportunity to go in and go aggressive. One basic attack does miss, and that could have been the difference between a kill and a living. Impale going to be off the mark as well, with aggression across the map once again. Sturdy Artisans ahead by that first blood gold. Just shy of first blood gold, sorry. About 200, 300 gold in the lead, when that's going to give about 500 gold bounty. Purple buff going to be the choice of invade here for the boys on Herculean Hoofs. And with no one around from Sturdy Artisans, it's going to be successful.
It's not what you do with the first invade, it's how you can keep following up on it, is how Mifflin preaches it, and hopefully the Herculean Hooves will continue that pressure that they have. But there's some pressure on the right-hand side. How do you beat a King Arthur, DJ? You take away his blue buff as he just watches it fall.
That is 100% correct. The only way to cripple the King Arthur to the point where he then feels useless in lane is to take away the blue buff until he gets Stone of Gaia. Once he has Stone of Gaia, he almost doesn't care again, because he's got enough MP5 to go through a good chunk of his abilities for a sustained period of time before he backs anyway and his blues back up again. So this is the time to put King Arthur into the dirt and make Relentless one a big, beefy frontliner to the point where he can then just solo carry.
Yeah, he's going to need to be doing something a little bit different than what we saw in game number 2. The Sun Wukong can be prevalent, though. We've seen it time and time again with that going up into the somersault cloud and just coming right back down with some crazy damage, and even getting away has one of the best escapes available to him, as pings are coming out from the Sturdy Artisans, just recognizing that there's 3 members on this left-hand side jungle. So they'll play a little bit more passively, but not Gino has made a little bit of an early rotation into the mid lane, and now he's going to come right back and join his carry.
I'm surprised we didn't see Mast commit to the rotation on the underside and wrap around them with Gino on this left-hand side, because that could have been a very big kill. Both Stewart and Ionic, level 4, not level 5, don't have access to their abilities to escape and disrupt team fights as much as they want to. We have only just noticed that Ionic's picked up beads as well. That is not something we would have expected, but when you're going up against this amount of CC and control, it can sort of be necessary to go beads just to make sure you can still be there to frontline for your team.
Well, Relentless One was taking a little bit of an aggressive Ox form, as Meerkat trying to see if maybe he can push out his counterpart. Try to see, he's got that ultimate available for him. Not just yet, but Relentless One does have that one available, so he can maybe bait something out. As he elects to go right back in and make sure that he secures his own blue buff. A good call for the solo laner, Meerkat.
Oh, managing to finally pick that one up again. First blue buff that he's had since the first one of the game. Relentless One did peek his head round the corner just to see if he was able to potentially get a Jingo Bang over the wall of steel, but with it already being taken down, he's going to have to reside to just having his own blue buff.
Well, Ionic was almost caught out of position there, and Scream is here. Meerkat was, taking a little peek himself to see where that blue buff was at, but the second that you see Scream, he walked away, as Ionic's going to get taunted in. The pillar's going to come out. No impale, but the beads are out. Sunder as well. Ionic going to be able to get away just because of a good couple of Riptides. Will push him all the way back down into his lane.
Snoopy out of mana and without Desert Fury. Those are 2 big things that would have turned the tide in that sort of engagement. Baskin losing the through space and time, chasing Scream out of his own jungle. Meerkat was there as well just to try and deny this invade some more. But this is where I want to see Scream on the Susano, in the enemy's jungle. Because what do you not want to do? You don't want to face a Susano in the early game. Where are you least likely to be on your guard? In your own jungle. So where does Susano want to be? In your jungle, fighting your camps and then fighting you.
We're hoping to see Scream do a little bit of a better performance. He did have a great performance on the Robin both games, but just not quite able to get over the hump in game number 2. As now game number 3, he's gone to the Susano pick, and we got to talk about the Susano and the Merlin pickup, the matchup that we haven't seen. And Uh-oh. Well, so, AJ, I think we just have to ignore that.
Hello, lag.
And
Hello?
move on
Can you
past
hear
the
me?
question. Yeah, lag. Yeah. Are we good? Yeah, I think we're good. Ionic
Hello,
just,
team?
He
Hello?
just, yeah, we're good. I think he just threw up the ultimate to make sure that everything was fine. But going back to the question so that we could ignore that biggest fat finger as Pagon gets taunted and just destroyed by an unstable vortex, but he's gonna be able to be just fine. That Susanoo combo with the Merlin seemed to be really good just because of the pullback into all that damage.
It's just it's almost like an Athena taunt into all that damage going out from Merlin, except it's a Susanoo, so you're doubling down on the damage whilst also getting that form of CC and lockdown. It is a brutal combo to come up against. If you are caught without your beads down against a Susanoo, good luck living. If you're up against a Susanoo and a Merlin without beads and Aegis, you're dead. I don't care who you are, you're just dead.
Yeah, and being able to have that Merlin pull someone back with the arcane stance. So you think about it this way, right? The ice comes down on you to slow as he hits you with the ice out of. Then he goes ahead and says, you know what? I'm going to go into my arcane stance and pull you right back into that damage. Can spell absolute disaster for anybody who gets plucked in. But speaking of absolute disaster, Meerkat has found Scream into the jungle. The Defender of Olympus comes out. The taunt does not. But now it will. Through space and time connects onto Relentless One. Will he fall? He will! The Somersault Cloud does not get engaged. Baskin from downtown hits the snipe.
And that is what you want to be doing with Athena and Yanis. Oh, it's just a lonely little, King Arthur in our jungle. We can take him. Oh, wait, no. Here's Athena. Oh, here's Through Space and Time as well. Decimates Relentless One. And before we can even get into the Somersault Cloud, perishes. Good turnaround from Meerkat so far in this game. He was behind a little, did have his first blue buff taken away. That could have been a slippery slope for them to start regressing in this solo lane. But good fight back from him has Meerkat ahead now, and is making his first pick Wukong look shaky at best.
Well, and we were kind of questioning the first pick, Wukong pick, and when Mask is piloting this set, he hasn't been as active as he was in game number 2, right? He's still around. And speaking of around, you're talking about Scream being in the jungle. Scream's in your jungle. Just keep away. And there it is again. He finally gets the Somersault Cloud out, but which way is he going to go? He does like to land back onto Meerkat and just Oxform away, but there's so much pressure around this Gold Fury. It seems like Scream's going to try to see if maybe he can get Snoopy out of position. Was not, but no pressure on this Gold Fury, and they're not going to go for it.
They want a kill or two before they look to try and take this Gold Fury, and I don't blame them. The fact that Herculean Hoofs are 2-1 up in kills, the fact that Herculean Hoofs are just about 1,000 gold above the Sturdy Artisans at this stage of the game showcases that they have grown into this set more than the Sturdy Artisans have. They have almost figured out this set meta better than Sturdy Artisans have done, which is a surprise to see when you think of who is on Sturdy Artisans versus who's on Herculean Hoofs. Both of these teams should have figured out the set meta by now. That's a little bit of a pun, because Set is there.
His Set is there, and not Gino is there on the blue buff side, and not able to pick it up. He's going to go ahead and try to taunt Ionic, and Ionic will get hit some damage done, but no real follow-up. Speaking of no real follow-up, Stewart's going to come and use his Bifrost to get away from Snoopy. Beats did come out as well. But actually, Mask is able to pick up Scream in his own jungle, so there we go. Jungle gets the jungle, and now Relentless One taking a little bit of poke under the tower. He's trying to back Meerkat. Let the man back.
There's no backing when you're in front of a King Arthur. What do you think this is? Charity? No, get out of here. This is free real estate, this tower. And Meerkat's looking to try and take it down. Bulldoze it for a nice little vacation area for himself. Gino, caught in between two tidal waves, though, does nothing. There's no follow-up there. There's no damage there. Pagon, already out of juice in terms of his abilities, has to rely on the basic attacks for just some form of damage, and Gino's A-okay.
You can't say that it was nothing. At least there was someone actually there this time between the crushing waves. As Pagon almost took a little bit of damage from Unstable Vortex, Baskin is around. Looks like a little bit of trade might be happening. Desert Fury does come out onto Stewart. Who's going to win this? Snoopy looks like he's a little bit weak. He's jumping away. He's trying his best, but Stewart gets the auto attack cancel, and he's able to pick up the kill. Ionic looking a little bit weak as well. Mast trying to see if he can run away. Relentless One is around. The good taunt, though, gets the Jingle Bang to not land on the Mast. And now Baskin will be able to portal away from that, but good rotation from the solo laners, and still a good solo pickup for that Stewart.
Stewart, you are now designated as the chosen one for Sturdy Artisans. The rest of the map isn't going well for them, so let's start piling pressure, let's start pooling resources over here to the left-hand side and play around this Heimdall. And do exactly this, start to take an objective. Pagon's going to be around as well. Here's Ionic providing some health, providing some shields. Down goes to Gold Fury just before Herculean Hoofs can reach around the corner and look for a steal.
Well, Mast is still here, and their pings are coming out. He's going to collapse onto Scream, and Scream will fall. Pagon just is going to try to throw out the ice forms and say, bye, Red Buff, it was nice knowing you. And he's going to be able to pick that up. Mast, well, actually, Baskin will go ahead and get that up as the Ionic takes a little bit of damage more. As the right-hand side Tier 1 tower falls for the Herculean host, Sturdy Artisans lose their first tower of the game. And Relentless One, he's not having such a great game, and this is what happens when you put Meerkat on this King Arthur yet again. He's got to go back up into the Somersault Cloud.
The Wukong just hasn't worked out so far. I'm willing to say that the Wukong was more of a team fight oriented late game pick and give them the benefits of the doubt at this point onwards. I want to see him start to be influential in team fights rather than try and stay in this lane and just suffer further and further heartache and suffer further and further setbacks. So start to rotate him out, and he's picked up the Sunder, upgrade that as soon as possible, and start to just counter the engagements coming out from Gino and Mast.
I wonder, since he picked up the Sunder, if that means that, you know, Pagon actually is going to take a little bit of damage. He got Sundered as well. I'm just curious to see if, would it be possible, does Ionic go Sunder, or does he go something more of like a Sprint, or maybe even a Frenzy?
Oh, if it's up to me, every person on the map is going to pick up Sunder. 100%. So, Ionic, do your thing. Pick up another Sunder.
Blink coming out. Pagon is going to get caught between a rock and a hard place, but who else is going to get caught between some waves? That's going to be Meerkat, but he's going to auto-attack through. Pagon taking a lot of damage, but over on the left-hand side, Mask is trying to do some damage. Scream falls. Baskin picks up Pagon, and now Stewart is just running for his life and just saying, goodbye, support. Thank you for dying for my sins. Beads come out, but it won't matter. Double kill for Baskin.
Herculean Hoofs 2k up, and they're looking great value for the lead again as they look to push it even further over to this right-hand side, over to the Pyromancer. They go, no. Mid-tier 1 going to be the first stop on their little tour. They can afford to take both of these objectives because of the respawn timers that are available. 2 seconds on Scream. The rest of the members of the map still trying to come up to terms with what just happened. Stewart and Relentless One couldn't get involved in that fight whatsoever because of just how clinical Herculean Hoofs were.
Herculean Hoofs are showing that they had a little bit better of a team fight. It seems like maybe something was in the water at Sturdy Artisans headquarters whenever this game started, because we're usually talking about how good they are, AJ, at team fights, and now the shoe is on the other foot with the Herculean Hoofs.
Herculean Hoofs are in a good position to start to be the ones to completely control this game. It is in their control right now. 7-2, they have been the ones to be aggressive for the most part. That has been off the back of not Gino again and Mast being more active. 3 levels up on his counterparts in the jungle from Scream. I was very excited for this Scream pick. I was very excited to see how well the Susano's done. But again, like the Sun Wukong is just not pressed up to those expectations just yet. Are Sturdy Artisans hoping that they get into a late game team fight and just showcasing those picks at that point?
It's just interesting, though, that the Susano was picked. Usually you see Susano start to flourish right about this point. Level 11 to level 15 seems to be where they have the strongest point in the game, but when he is arguably the second lowest level in the game, he was actually the same level as his support, and when that's the case and you're on the losing end and you're a jungler at level 11, yeah, it's unfortunate. He just had to be able to back to be able to pick up his next relic, and AJ, the Susano just hasn't worked out for me, as you mentioned. Neither has the Sun Wukong. It seems like that more so the pressure falls within Mast and this and not Gino on this set Athena combination. Scream's level 12 though. He's got that second relic. He's going to start trying to be a little bit more around of these team fights. Relentless One is able to hit 2 for that Jingo Bang, but they're just trying to defend the red buff, and I don't know if you want to.
With the rotations that you've committed here from Relentless One and Stewart, you kind of do want to defend it, but Meerkat with the flank, catching Scream by surprise, catching his beads and catching half his health. That's the way to kick off the fight if you're a solo laner. Mass looking for the invade here, going to try and get it before Relentless One blinks in. That is going to be secure there for the Herculean Hoofs.
As he's going to Tiger form out, Desert Fury comes out, Sunders as well, but looks like Relentless One's going to be able to go up into the unstable, actually the cloud, but through space and time it actually comes. He's going to see if he can go in. Not Gino, trying to see if he can get a dash on. He does get the taunt onto Ionic. Here comes the Susano. This is why you want it, but it only knocks up one member. Meerkat doesn't take any damage from it because of that Stone of Gaia pickup a little bit early on. Nothing's really going to come out of this, but Stewart's seeing if maybe he can land that sword onto those two, but not going to be able to do it. But Sturdy Artisans do have a little bit more pressure. They could look for this Primal Fury if they so choose.
I don't know if they're going to be brave enough to go for this Primal Fury, because they didn't win the fight. Yes, they didn't die, but A, they didn't get kills, B, they lost a red buff, C, they came off a worse in that situation than Herculean Hoofs did overall as a team-for-team health bars, and Athena resets. Athena comes back into the fight with a full health bar. Gold Fury, this time the Primal Fury looks like it's going to fall down soon, but leashed for the engagement as Herculean Hoofs go on the front foot.
Well, Stewart was going to be able to get away with that good Bifrost, and Relentless One taking a little bit of poke as well. Meerkat goes through the portal, but saying, hey, this is not where I wanted to be. And he's going to go ahead and get back to his team. But it was a good leash. It seemed like a good bait for the Herculean Hoofs, but not quite able to get the little slimy, slippery Stewart.
I see what you did there, by the way. Good Bifrost.
Thank you.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was good. That was real good.
That was a good one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good joke. That actually got me. I had to quickly flip up my microphone, have a little bit of laugh to myself. So, well done. That was good.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't even think about that one. Haven't planned it, but it was a really a good Bifrost to get him out of that fight, though. AJ, I didn't know how else to put it.
Yeah, it was well timed. Just the perfect distance. Not too long to get into the Bifrost, but not too short that he's still just in the middle of the fight. So. Well placed from Stewart. Red buff this time not going to be invaded here by Herculean Hoofs. They wanted to, but have a look at what's happened so far with this gold. If we go to the graphs, it's going to tell the story a bit more in that picture. Herculean Hoofs 7-2 in the kills, but that gold graph slowly but surely climbing back up and climbing back up. Sturdy Artisans have found the farm game just better this time round. The experience difference sitting around that 3k mark, but if I'm the Sturdy Artisans, as the game goes longer and longer, I know that my team's going to get further and further ahead in gold because of this trend.
Yeah, the gold trend is definitely helping them out, and it looks like more of it is on this left-hand side. Look at the level difference between Stewart and Snoopy. 2 levels? Like, you wouldn't be surprised to say, like, oh yeah, you know, he's died a couple of times here and there, but Ionic's going to try to see if he gets absolutely obliterated, but he does not. He only takes about a quarter of his health. Actually, a third of his health, but now this Primal Fury is going to start up. Relentless One is around just to see if maybe he can do something. The pillar gets dropped the zone off anybody. Blink comes onto Snoopy as Snoopy doesn't get the beads off in time. As Sturdy Artisans are able to steal his Primal Fury. A great Susano ultimate as Snoopy is going to go ahead and follow Relentless One. Stewart's going to pick up Not Jingo.
Disaster.
This is what you wanted to see out of Sturdy Artisans because that gold lead, as you mentioned, was slowly climbing back up. Actually, it was pretty much dead even. So now they're able to get 2 kills and a Primal Fury.
Disaster for Herculean Hoofs, and it comes off the back of one person. Relentless One just goes in, uses the Ox form rather than the Tiger form to bamboozle Snoopy into using the beads whilst he's in the air. Beads aren't going to help you whilst you're knocked up. You still take the entire knock-up duration, and the rest of the team just has to back off, has to retreat from that Gold Fury, and as they retreat, Sturdy Artisans move in as a unit, take the Gold Fury for themselves. Ionic with an ult just to try and get Relentless One off the back of Snoopy, but Snoopy still falls.
Well, Meerkat and Not Gino come crashing in together. The through space and time will not connect. The Thunder comes out onto Stewart. Stewart has to go ahead and use that Bifrost to disengage. Doesn't look like he will, though. He's able to get out with just a little bit of health. But now this Primal Fury will fall for Herculean Hoofs' favor. So that helps a little bit with this gold problem, but I gotta say, AJ, that fight around the Gold Fury for Sturdy Artisans was exactly what we have seen time and time again throughout this entire split.
It's what they needed. They needed Relentless One to step up as that first pick Wukong, and he delivered countless time there. The start of the fight, perfect from him. The fact that he zoned everyone off the Gold Fury and allowed Sturdy Artisans to take it, an excellent second point. The icing on the cake was getting the kill on Snoopy and then getting out alive. Yes, he used his Sunder to begin that fight with, but that was just to instill fear into the heart of Snoopy to force him to beads, despite the fact that it was the knock-up Ox form rather than the stunning Tiger.
And I mean, that would scare me if a Sunder just hit me and I'm a carry and I'm like, oh, hey, that's a Sun Wukong Sundering me. Bye-bye. That's my initial thought as the taunt does come out onto Ionic, but no real follow-up's going to happen. But Mast is around, just flirting around with that Athena, just making sure that this combination can work out. Seems to be a little bit of a grouping on this Fire Giant side. Ward Vision is coming out to see if maybe they can find someone. Jingo Bang not able to hit anybody. Relentless One trying to see if maybe he can get somebody out of position. Baskin leading the charge, unfortunately, for his team, which means that Mast is just going to try to see if he's in the back, trying to get Meerkat pulled out. Pings are coming out, seeing if Relentless One can get something, but it just looks like they're just stalling for time. Now that Scream is here.
Relentless One, Scream, Pagon, everyone is in the general vicinity here for Sturdy Artisans. Herculean Hoofs a bit more grouped up, though, and you want to be around this Athena pick. Baskin electing to just be a bit further away, clear out that wave in mid lane so they have some form of idea about where they want to go if they're the ones successful to taking this Fire Giant. Both these teams want to try and push down this mid lane. They want to try and get rid of that mid tier 2 tower and then start to work on the tier 2 tower on the right hand side as well. Getting rid of those 2 towers will allow insurmountable pressure onto this Fire Giant because the other team will then not have that safety tower to retreat to should they find themselves in a bit of a pinch.
Well, everybody elected to back and grab some wards because this next objective is going to be one of the more important ones at 23 minutes into the game. Gold lead in favor of Sturdy Artisans, but the kill lead in favor of Herculean Hoofs. Everything seems to be pretty much even as the Fire Giant does start up. Ionic is around just to see if he can bait something out. As the rest of the squad has rotated over, Ionic has to pop the beads, and he's in the background except for Relentless One. Desert Fury gets stormed out. Scream's trying to see if he can get something. Will it connect? It will not connect. Nothing will happen. But Mast took a lot of damage out of that. Fire Giant still at about a quarter of a health down. Ionic just keeping pressure on it just to make sure as Relentless One is coming in. And now Snoopy is the target. He doesn't have the beats, but he's able to squeeze out of there because of a Phantom that was able to be picked up. And now Scream is taking a lot of damage. Meerkat in the background through space and time will connect onto Scream from the back end. Snipe, says Baskin. And now he's going to come crawling on through to see if he can do some more damage.
Ionic should be the next person on the hit list. Going through is the Defender of Olympus just to try and get himself back to this fight. Ionic does teleport, but he is brought back in because of that taunt. Now out of Omi completely. The fight rages on. Meerkat, 1 health. Pagon has found him and picked him up. It's now a 1-for-1 trade. Scream for Meerkat. Fight in that instance goes to the way of Sturdy Artisans because 1 front line down for 1 extra damage dealer. I know which one I would prefer.
Well, Stewart had to pop Bees and Aegis, and that Relentless One is trying to lead him on the greatest chase. Baskin is around, though. He's going to do a little bit of damage, but not a whole lot. We'll slow him, and now we'll get slowed yet again. The rest of the squad is here. The Ox Form comes up. They're trying to avoid it as much as possible. The Ice Shards come down. He's going to get teleported back in. The portals. And Relentless One still staying alive, but not Gino, not so much, as Stewart will pick him up.
Stewart has helped his team find yet another kill and find their way back into this game once more. 6 to 8 read the kills as Sturdy Artisans look to establish their first foothold in this game. It's been Herculean Hoofs that have been on the aggressive, on the offensive until that one Gold Fury play that puts Sturdy Artisans back into the mix of things and now trying to stamp their authority onto this game. Fire Giant should be the call here from Sturdy Artisans to try and bait a 5 versus 4.
The Fire Giant does get started. Mask is around just to keep an eye on that health bar, as you do see through space and time is available for Baskin. Baskin's trying to position himself up with Meerkat in there as well. That's going to be Meerkat getting actually Mask getting absolutely demolished. Look, bye-bye, says King Arthur, as he gets sent to a trip, and he's going to get down to a point where he cannot get out. Actually, he does because of the through space and time portal. Stays up for just a little bit of time. But, I mean, that's it. That's Fire Giant. That is what Sturdy Artisans needed. They were able to get a kill onto Mask and Scream. He's been shut down for most of this game, but now he's starting to show his presence.
Yeah, it did exactly what I said they needed to do. Go to the Fire Giant, beta 5 versus 4. At this point, I think it was a 5 versus 2. Pick up the kill that they needed to, or just zone out as much as they needed to. And all of a sudden, they find themselves with a Fire Giant. They could find themselves with the Oni Fury as well. Oof, Herculean who's just about to secure that with a basic attack from Snoopy, but he's being brought back into his demise. Is it worth it? Absolutely not.
Well, Stewart, we said you needed to be the man, the myth, the legend, and sure enough, you are providing that for us. The Relentless One is just casually 2v1ing onto Not Gino so they can take this left-hand side tier 2 tower. for the Sturdy Artisans as it will fall. This is what we wanted to see, but Relentless One, he's going to take a little bit of poke there. He's going to use the Oxform to try to get away. Lots of minions doing some damage to him, and those are the only minions that do just a little bit more damage. Blink comes out, but Relentless One does have the Somersault Claw, and he's going to be able to get away.
Now pushing up to mid-tier 2 are the rest of the Sturdy Artisans. Relentless One has to back off to base. I think Stewart has to back off now because the engagements happen. Gino erases Stewart.
But Scream erased Mask in response. Through space and time was expended. Snoopy has fallen earlier on in that engagement, but Mask has a long cooldown timer before he can come right back up into this fight. Pyromancer free for the Sturdy Artisans.
No contest coming out from the Herculean Hoofs, and too right for them. They picked up Stewart. That's all that they really could do at that point. They traded out Mask for it, but 1-for-1, usually a tie situation at this stage of the game, but it goes in favor of Herculean Hoofs because you remove Fire Giant from the ADC specifically.
So I just saw it flop on my screen, AJ. Shadow Cure Shuriken. You know, the one that stops the heal. Interesting pickup for Stewart as that final pick. And instead, he doesn't go with the... He did have Gilded Arrow in the response to that, but why does he go with the Shadow Steel Shuriken over really just anything else?
If you look onto your right-hand side, you'll see that Mast is playing a god called Set. Now, Set's Kingslayer ultimate will bring with him a lot of healing. He's got Serrated Edge just to increase that healing a little bit more, and Snoopy as well has got some sustain with his Devourance Gauntlet. So all that sustain just being eaten up with, and that's before talking about Meerkat on that King Arthur. He's probably going to be one of the 2 primary focuses for him, just to try and reduce some of that healing a little bit more. Just means that 1 or 2 less basic attacks, 1 or 2 less abilities forced into them, can switch target onto either Mast or Meerkat. Whoever he kills first, you can switch target onto the other one second, just that little bit quicker.
Well, really, we were talking about who needs to be the star of the show for the Sturdy Artisans. It was Stewart. In fact, he has risen to that occasion. Now, for the Herculean Hooves, they need a miracle from Baskin himself, and if Baskin can bring out a miracle, they could push this back onto Sturdy Artisans, as they are going to dance around this tier 2 in the mid. Everything seems to be going according to plan to Sturdy Artisans, waiting for that late game pick. And they were getting that with that Susano, as a taunt comes onto Ionic. Beads comes out a little bit as well. No damage onto Not Gino, but a Beads comes out for that support. It's kind of a helpful hand for the Herculean Hooves.
Tier 2 tower in mid once again is where Sturdy Artisans are going to make their play, and where Herculean Hoofs are going to try and upset them and just put the game back into their court. But Ionic eats asunder, no follow-up damage because everyone's focused on Meerkat.
Well, Meerkat falls to Scream, so we were doubting that Susano pick for a little bit, but sure enough, when Scream's getting it done, Scream will get it done. Mask takes a little bit of damage as well, so he has to use his teleport to get back under the helpful guise of his Phoenix, but this Phoenix is getting pushed. They do have Fire Giant around their waist. That's going to be 1 Phoenix in the mid lane. They could look for the second one on this left-hand side because they do have minions pushed up here in just a few minutes. So they're going to go ahead and start this. Herculean Hooves' Titan is under attack. Not Gino going to go ahead and throw out the taunt, but he's going to get locked in with the Rivers. He's going to get locked into the gray screen as Relentless One picks him up. Relentless One going to try to see if he can do some damage on the Mask, but Mask is doing so much damage back to him. I don't think it's going to matter as Pagon is able to shred him as Pagon makes him fall. The Desert Fury comes out for Snoopy, but it's too little, too late. The Beads, the double kill for Pagon. This is it. The Sturdy Artisans keep their 8-0 game alive to bring it to 9-0 for this season.
Baskin's the only one that can defend this right now, and he's not got a chance. 30 minutes and 7 seconds. The fastest game at the set, mind you. Herculean Hooves fall. Sturdy Artisans 9-0. It was Sturdy Artisans' game to lose from about the 20th minute. Up until then, it was actually Herculean Hooves who found themselves in a fantastic position.
It was Herculean Hooves that found himself in a good position, but Sturdy Artisans were able to clean it up a little bit from the early game and able to push it through. Well, that's going to do it for us here at the SCC NA. AJ, it's been a pleasure casting with you, but now we got some fantastic SPL stuff. Oh, actually, I realized that. But AJ, we do have to worry about the fact that, you know, Herculean Hooves just not able to do it. But we'll see. We'll talk a little bit more after this break.
And exposed to a cat like a cheetah. They smoke my partner like reefer. Dímelo porque o no entiendo mi gente must really need Jesus. He said real blood, I never seen the crypt and I believe it. It's too easy. Too easy, too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. It's too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. It's too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. It's too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. I can do this with my eyes closed. How you gon' lie when you look me in my eyes and you show me a facade? Show me a facade. How you gon' lie when you look me in my eyes and you show me a facade? Show me a facade. You a lie. You a front. You say anything long as you get what you want. Tryna play me like a fool, homie, I am not a clown. It ain't nothing but a game, cause all you do is mess around. Now I'm on the verge of a meltdown. I should've known when I met her back at Midtown, at Dogwood, when I was going through a rough patch, but it's all good. I even told her about the dark times I had in childhood, when we was driving off of I-10 in Kirkwood. Now all that time I never get it back. You wanted that, used to hate when I didn't wanna hang. I noticed that, used to talking about your ex, Jake, with your next jack. Used to messing with them white boys, now she went black. Wait a minute, guess you went and got yourself a real life. Got yourself some booty shots and lip filler. You just wanna make a rapper beat like Dilla. You ain't nothing nice, radiator eyes. Cause up close, baby, you a ghost. You a demon, and you should float. Get out the way, and just go. And just go, and just float. How you gonna lie when you looking in my eyes and you say you down for the cause, but you really here for the ride? You ain't really feeding no sheep. You're a K9 in disguise. Shoulda never gave you nothing but a funky high five. I know we can't go back in time, but I wish I could rewind and get back all that money that I spent every nickel and dime. Cause you a lie. Oh, you a front. You gon' say anything as long as you get what you want. Went and got yourself a new man. It ain't even been a month. I feel sorry for your boo, cause he don't know what he signed up for. Do he? Ooh, yeah, I heard that you met him at the bar, Louis. Hope you don't try to do him like you tried to do me, baby. You a cold-blooded killer like Stu. Cause up close, baby, you a ghost. You a demon, and you should float. Get out the way, and just go. And just go, and just float. Float like a balloon, apple, empty bottle, cork, styrofoam, and most dead bodies. You killing me, homicide. Look at your lying eyes. I should have been better laced, cause I failed too many times. If money the root of evil, and you call yourself a dime, you gotta be penny wise. 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 Cause up close, baby, you a ghost. You a demon, and you should float.
The battle of the Titans has finally ended, AJ. And who came on top was the Sturdy Artisans, taking themselves to 9-0 victory, even though it was a little shaky in game number 2, and even so early in the game number 3.
Yeah, game number 3, I thought was going to go the way of the Herculean Hoofs. The draft that they had was phenomenal. You have a look at, you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, that set who's been dominant in both games, even though it didn't really do much in game number 1. Athena on the losing end of all 3 games, apparently, this set. So maybe they know a little bit more than what they were leading on to with the Sturdy Artisans. But it's just that fear factor that they had to play into. And they come out on top. They stared fear right in the face and said, no, we have the better draft here. We will win this game.
Well, it was all on Stewart. It seemed like at the end of it, but Scream coming up clutch to be able to pick up Mass to get him out of the fight is definitely going to help. And then Pagon obviously rounding it out with a double kill when he was getting chased down by Mast. Just great heads-up play from Sturdy Artisans. This is why we wanted to see coming out of the Sturdy Artisans. They are the best team fighting comp in NA, and they just proved it today.
And the switch that they made by having a healer in their support role rather than something that's just there for pure CC, I think is what tipped it over the edge into their favor. Ionic on the Emoji meant that any form of engagement that came from Gino that was just a little bit of poke, looking for some relics, wasn't impactful whatsoever. It was just healed back up with those shields, and then they could turn the fight back into their favor with the quick engages coming out from Relentless One and Scream.
Yeah, Relentless One. We were just kind of like thinking, hey, you know, the Sun Wukong pick isn't super great, but it turned out to be really effective in those team fights, and he was just showing himself through and through. And then, of course, Yannick on that Umoja. Umoja, in my opinion, is still one of the walking fountains of the game, able to be tanky and just heal up everybody. Just showed the absolute presence of that. As we take a look at the standings, you got to take a look at it. Sturdy Artisans, 9-0. They have solidified that #1 seed.
Yep, it's just a matter of vanity for them to keep that 0 in that loss column next week when they come up against the Tiburones down in 2nd seed. Herculean Hoofs, they think they need to win because Winter Dogs are taking on Fishies to see if Winter Dogs can climb into 3rd, and Herculean Hoofs obviously taking on Average Joes. Just an all-out scrap down there at the bottom with many different implications to who can finish where.
Yeah, depending on what happens, if Fishies are able to pull off a win and Average Joe's able to pull off a win, you're going to have a lot of teams that are 3-7, and that's going to be interesting for the admins to decide how it goes, because once you get into that kind of category, it's all math. So here comes the schedule for next week, but it's actually not this week, it's this week's EU set. So if you take a look over everything else, you'll see lots of 2-0s, a couple of 2-1s there. The biggest 2-1 surprise was the Snake Hunters versus Elysium, but Elysium were able to round it off. And then obviously with the Herculean Hooves and the Sturdy Artisans that we just watched today, it just not surprising when it comes to the two powerhouse teams that they are. But still surprising is the fact that Herculean Hooves are 4-6.
I think the biggest surprise overall is the fact that Winter Dogs get the 2-0 victory over the Tiburones. 5th seed versus 2nd seed, and the 5th seed come out on top in 2-0 fashion and looked quite clean when we did watch those games earlier on in the week. But full 6 sets of Challenger Circuit have been done this week. The teams are going into their very final week to decide who finishes where, to decide who finishes in those coveted top 4 spots to have a chance of going to playoffs. Remember, top 3 qualify directly, and then the 4th has to go up against the 1st SOC seed to determine who gets those 4th and final spot in the split finals.
Well, EU is pretty much set in stone, but NA still have a lot of question marks. We'll find out more next week, but what everyone wants to see and what I want to see is the SPL, and it's coming to you live right after this.